Chapter 607. Taking a step back. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. He was the one who sold the skyscraper, and he was the one who personally found the factories. The store was also set up by his connections. It could be said that he had done more than half of the business for the Art Xian group. Damn it! It turned out that he had been tricked by them. Honey trap. Damned honey trap. Motherf asterisk her. Although he knew that if he wasn't a pervert, he wouldn't have been tricked. However, with his status, if this were to spread, his reputation would be ruined. Most importantly, he was very angry. He had been tricked by a brat. Lin Xian and the others had visited almost all of the shops. Everywhere they went, there was a sea of people waiting for the shops to open. At this moment, Lin Xian's phone rang. Got it. Lin Xian put down his phone. What's wrong? Lin Ye looked at Lin Xian and asked. Lin Xian stretched his body and said, someone is jealous and came to cause trouble. At this moment, in the center of Lin'an City, outside their biggest store, uninvited guests were attracted. Scram, scram, scram. All of you scram. A group of menacing men with machetes in their hands walked through the crowd in an aggressive manner. Who are you? We're queuing here to buy medicine. What does it have to do with you? A resident from Tianhua City couldn't stand such a scene, and said with dissatisfaction. Oh, you still don't know who we are? The leader of the group, a man with a scar on his face, laughed mockingly. Go, let him know who we are. Yes, Brother Tian. Then, two men walked over with a cold smile, and knocked him down with a punch in front of the crowd. Then, they kicked the resident on the ground, until he was covered in wounds. Be careful in the future. This is Brother Tian, the right-hand man of the Azura Palace's White Tiger Hall. Do you think you can point fingers at him? Then, those people glanced at the crowd and said, get lost. They're from the Azura Palace. Did the Art Xian group offend the Azura Palace? That can't be right. I remember that the Xian group only came here half a month ago. They have been preparing for their grand opening all this while. It's impossible for them to have a conflict with the Azura Palace, right? From what I remember, although the Azura Palace is quite strong, they usually don't gather people to cause trouble. Could it be that there really was a conflict? It's hard for a strong dragon to suppress a local snake. What's more, the Art Xian group isn't a strong dragon. They might be in big trouble today. Who cares, as long as we can buy the potions? Li Tianheng carried the baseball bat and walked straight to the entrance of the Art Xian group's store that had yet to open. The Azura Palace was the local tyrant. Such an existence existed in almost every city. Tianhua City was no exception. However, the development of Tianhua City was very ordinary. After all, it was the most border city. Not many people were willing to invest in establishing a force there. However, Lin'an City was different. The Azura Palace was a force. It was one of the more powerful forces aside from the three major forces. Of course, it wasn't as grand as the three major forces, but it wasn't small either. The Azura Palace was involved in more than a dozen cities, and the total number of members of the Azura Palace was over 10 million. Although 10 million might not seem like a lot, it was important to note that the Azura Palace was an independent force. They would not risk their lives to protect the human race like the other three major forces. No one would care what they did, and no one would say anything about it. They were an independent force. In short, the Azura Palace was a force that Lin Xian wanted to establish. The Azura Palace had already been established, and its scale wasn't small. Lin Xian hadn't even been established yet. He had only just started his own company. In the 5 great empires, there were many forces similar to the Azura Palace. However, if one wanted to establish one, it would be very abnormal. In short, a force like the Azura Palace, in terms of financial resources and overall strength, wouldn't lose to any of the 8 major families of Tiandu. However, they were all independent forces. The 3 major forces allowed such a force to exist. Just like the 8 major families of Tiandu, if one had the ability, then one could establish one. Of course, there was one condition, and that was that one couldn't harm the human race. They couldn't collude with the demon race. As for the rest, they could do whatever they wanted, as long as they didn't commit any crimes. To be able to establish a force like the Azura Palace in this era, was, to be honest, very powerful. Therefore, when they saw the Azura Palace looking for trouble with the Art Xian group, they were quite worried. The three major forces really wouldn't care about this kind of trouble, unless it caused some kind of impact, or if someone reported it. Anyway, as long as no lives were lost, nothing would happen. Especially at this time, the three major forces were busy with construction, and the situation outside of Linen City. Although they were very concerned about the Art Xian group's sales of medicine, they had clearly stated that they wouldn't cooperate with any single force. Therefore, they could only rely on their own ability to purchase the medicine. Li Tianheng, one of the 4 hall masters of the Azura Palace. What kind of identity did he have? In terms of financial resources, he might not be as good as the boss of Linen City, Liao Jian. However, in terms of power, he was in existence that even Liao Jian had to curry favor with. The 4 hall masters of the Azura Palace had an even more honorable status. Coincidentally, Linen City was their headquarters. It was rumored that the hall master of the White Tiger Hall of the Azura Palace was guarding Linen City. The other 3 halls were respectively developing their forces in the other 3 cities. As for the boss of the Azura Palace, he was probably in existence even more mysterious than the 8 major families of Tiandu. Anyway, not many people had seen him before. Bang! Li Tianheng held the baseball bat in his hand. His strength surged, and he directly smashed the door of the art courtyard store that had yet to open for business. The glass shattered and the door was broken. Ah! Seeing this scene, screams came from the surroundings. He really did it. What kind of conflict did he have with the art courtyard group? Li Tianheng said angrily while smashing the door. Brother Hu said that in the future, all companies of this scale in Linen City will have to report to the Azura Palace. The establishment of the art courtyard group has greatly impacted the Azura Palace's industrial chain. They didn't even consult with the Azura Palace before establishing a store here. Therefore, brothers, smash it. Of course, that wasn't the truth. It was just that he had received a huge sum of money from someone. A refugee from Tianhua City had established a corporation, and he was only a little rich. He wouldn't be afraid of such a corporation. Furthermore, the Azura Palace's White Tiger Hall's hall master, Brother Tiger, was Liao Jian's close business partner. Since he had given Li Tianheng money, it was reasonable for him to help. Most importantly, he wasn't afraid of anything. The 3 major powers wouldn't easily interfere with them. Furthermore, as long as they didn't kill anyone, it was fine. I say, are you tired from smashing? If you are, take a rest. A voice came from the side. Chapter 608. Many people were afraid, but after thinking about it, they realized that it wasn't targeted at them, so they didn't need to be afraid. Moreover, they didn't want to run away. They still wanted to buy potions. Hearing the sudden sound, everyone looked over. Lin Xian put his hands in his pockets and looked at the group of people with a mocking expression. Lin Xian swore that ever since he came to Linen City, he had never offended anyone. Now that these people were here to cause trouble for him, no matter how stupid he was, he knew that someone must have ordered them to do so. Even if he didn't offend anyone, the person who ordered them to cause trouble was either his competitors or someone who was jealous of him. Competitors? He had a monopoly in this industry, so there were no competitors. There were definitely people who were jealous of him. But Lin Xian thought of one person, Liao Jian. This guy must be unhappy. With his ability, it was easy for him to invite people to cause trouble. Of course, it could also be Ouyang Jing's group. As for who it was, Lin Xian didn't need to know. He only needed to deal with the people in front of him. Li Tianheng and the others also saw Lin Xian, and the others. They directly ignored Lin Xian, and everyone's eyes were fixed on Lin Ye and Morong Qing. These 2 women were simply the best of the best. No wonder Liao Jian specially mentioned this matter. At first, he didn't think much of it. He didn't watch the press conference, so he didn't know about it. But today, after seeing them, he completely fell for them. She was F*King way more exquisite than any woman he had ever played with. Lin Ye saw the shop's door being smashed, and her charming face showed anger. Although the door being smashed wouldn't affect the business, no one was willing to see such a scene. You are the people in charge of the Art Pavilion group? Li Tianheng looked at them, and it just so happened that he could look at the two beauties more directly. Behind him, the members of the Azura Palace followed closely. Morongqing didn't panic at all. She didn't need to show up, so she let the men handle it. Lin Xian slowly walked towards them. His eyes swept across the crowd, and then fell on Li Tianheng. Azura Palace? Over the phone, Lin Xian had also received the news. He had been in Linen City for half a month, and had never had any dealings with the Azura Palace. However, Lin Xian naturally knew about the Azura Palace. How should he put it? Lin Xian was very concerned about it. Since he had started expanding his influence in Linen City, and the Azura Palace was the local dragon of Linen City, it meant that the Azura Palace would definitely become his stumbling block in the future. They would definitely face each other head-on. But who would have thought that the Azura Palace would come knocking on their door now? Of course, Lin Xian didn't have to guess to know that someone related to the Azura Palace must have asked them to come forward. Since you know they are from the Azura Palace, why do you still dare to steal our business? What do you think of my Azura Palace? Li Tianheng looked coldly at Lin Xian. I stole your King Pi business. Everyone was dumbfounded. How could this Lin Xian curse like that? And it felt pretty good. Xiao Xian. When Linya heard Lin Xian swearing, although she felt relieved, she didn't want Lin Xian to act like that in front of everyone. Li Tianheng's face suddenly darkened. You're courting death. Lin Xian mocked. You keep saying that my Yixian group is stealing your Azura Palace's business? Then let me ask you, my Yixian group only has one business right now, which is selling 2 great medicines. What kind of tyrant is your Azura Palace? You also sell medicines? You're selling *T. Then how is my Yixian group stealing your business? Can you make them? Stealing business? You're too embarrassed to say something like that, you idiot. Everyone. Damn. This Lin Xian is that young man from Tianhua City, who has repeatedly performed miraculous deeds, right? Isn't he a bit too stubborn? That's right. But what he said makes a lot of sense. Whether the Azura Palace is in this business or not, only the Yixian group can make these 2 great medicines in the entire continent. How could they possibly rush into the Azura Palace's business? They're definitely trying to stir up trouble. They might even be hired by someone who's jealous of them. How disgusting. I remember that the Azura Palace is doing pretty well. How did it become like this? Is it because the White Tiger Hall's hall master is in charge of Linen City, and the boss of the Azura Palace isn't here? But, although it's satisfying, the Yixian group is done for. They've just started, and they've already provoked a colossus like the Azura Palace. The 3 major powers won't care about them. If the Azura Palace starts to suppress and stir up trouble, it'll be bad news for the Yixian group. Li Tianheng's face was extremely ugly. Good. You're the first person who doesn't put the Azura Palace in your eyes. Today, I'll let you see how terrifying the Azura Palace you've insulted is. As for your Yixian group, don't even think about starting your business today. Everyone, teach this blind thing a lesson. Yes, Brother Tian. Then a dozen people walked over with a cold smile. Lin Xian swept his gaze over the group. Needless to say, this Azura Palace was quite something. The other 3 major powers had countless low-level warriors, but this Azura Palace only sent a dozen people, and more than half of them were in the Profound Heaven Realm. Was the Profound Heaven Realm so worthless now? Lin Xian was quite famous in Tianhua City. However, in Linen City, he was just SOSO. Some people had only heard of him, but didn't know much about him. They didn't care if it was true or not. They only cared about the famous experts in their own city. As far as they knew, this Lin Xian was only in the Profound Heaven Realm. Indeed, in the eyes of outsiders, Lin Xian was still in the Profound Heaven Realm. Only a few of them knew about the Lightning Tribulation Realm. The Azura Palace's recruitment criteria was to have at least the Profound Body Realm. That's why this Azura Palace was so famous. They were indeed quite strong. The weakest among them was in the Profound Body Realm. Although most of them were in the Profound Body Realm, in a certain aspect, the quality of the Azura Palace's members was higher than the 3 major powers. However, the difference in numbers was obvious. Warriors were allowed to fight, but they were not allowed to kill or cripple. That would be breaking the law. Linya, who was beside him, revealed a worried expression, while Lin Xian sneered. I don't know how terrifying the Azura Palace is. I only know that the people in front of me are a bunch of trash. Lin Xian didn't move, but his clothes fluttered in the wind. Then everyone was shocked. The people in front of them had all disappeared. Following that, miserable screams came from afar. They looked over and saw that those people had all been sent flying to the other side. They fell from the sky, each of them holding their backs and butts, groaning in pain. Li Tianheng frowned. Chapter 609. Of course, he knew that this Lin Xian had the space attribute. But how could he do this? His realm was probably not low. But so what if it was high? Look at what realm he was in. He was a 9-star lightning tribulation realm warrior. Azura Palace, is this all you've got? Lin Xian sneered. Don't be so arrogant. I'm just playing around. Li Tianheng's body exploded with energy, fixing Lin Xian on the spot. He was indeed the Hall Master's right-hand man. A high-level lightning tribulation realm warrior, with the dark attribute was something. Lin Xian might not be able to defeat him in the dark, but his dark attribute's purity was not full. During the day, the dark attribute's effect was very low. You dare to humiliate my Azura Palace? Today, I'll teach you a lesson and smash your shop. If I see you again in the future, I'll smash your shop every time I see you. After saying that, Li Tianheng rushed toward Lin Xian. But why did he feel that he couldn't reach Lin Xian, even though he was only 10 meters away? Morong Qing, who was behind Lin Xian, smirked. Time deceleration. No matter how fast he was, if time slowed down for him, everything would slow down for him. Lin Xian broke free from the fixed image and easily arrived in front of Li Tianheng. Bang! A punch landed directly on his nose. He saw it and wanted to defend himself. But why did he feel so slow? Then, he fell to the ground and flew out. Lin Xian rushed over and stomped on Li Tianheng's body. You mother***er. You still want to beat me every time you see me? Let me tell you, I'll beat you every time I see you. What the hell? You still want to smash my shop? I'm not going to cripple you. Azura Palace, you mother***er. Everyone watched as Lin Xian crazily kicked Li Tianheng in front of everyone. What puzzled them the most was that something wasn't right. Logically speaking, Li Tianheng should be very strong. How could he be kicked into such a state by a brat in his early 20s? Moreover, they didn't see Li Tianheng retaliating at all. How could he not even be able to retaliate? This was Morong Qing's time attribute. She had forcefully slowed down Li Tianheng's time. In other people's eyes, nothing had changed. It was just that he had not punched back. However, for Li Tianheng, he had punched. Normally, a punch would only take 0.1 seconds. Why did it take him several seconds to raise his hand this time? He was dumbfounded. Then he was beaten up. Li Tianheng had been kicked dozens of times by Lin Xian, and he was vomiting blood. He wanted to get up, but he couldn't. After Lin Xian was done kicking, he walked to the side. Everyone was dumbfounded. What was going on? Why didn't Li Tianheng have any room to fight back? Liao Jian, who was watching from afar, was in disbelief. How was this possible? He was quite clear about Li Tianheng's strength. He was in existence close to the law realm. How could he be beaten up like this? Or could it be that Lin Xian was stronger than him? That shouldn't be the case. Could it be that Lin Xian was in the law realm? Bullshit. However, in the next moment he sneered. It didn't matter whether Li Tianheng had beaten up Lin Xian or destroyed the shops. The most important thing was that Lin Xian had beaten up Li Tianheng in front of everyone. At the same time, he had insulted the Azura Palace. Naturally, the Azura Palace had formed a grudge with this Lin Xian. Li Tianheng was nothing. Liao Jian had to curry favor with him. However, the main target was not him, but the person behind him, the Azura Palace's White Tiger Hall Master. If Li Tianheng didn't have the backing of the White Tiger Hall Master, he would be nothing. Even Liao Jian looked down on him. However, since he did, he had to curry favor with him. And now, this Lin Xian had formed a grudge with the Azura Palace. He believed that Li Tianheng couldn't defeat him. However, if the person behind Li Tianheng wanted to make a move against Lin Xian, not to mention Lin Xian, Even the art courtyard building would be blown up. He admitted that these potions would be very popular. However, if they were restricted, there was no way for them to rise. At the same time, Morongqing retracted her time attribute. Li Tianheng coughed up blood and crawled up from the ground. He was battered and exhausted. The arrogant and despotic appearance from before was nowhere to be seen. You're courting death. Li Tianheng pointed at Lin Xian. Slap. Lin Xian sent him flying with a slap. Who do you think you are? Lin Xian stepped on his body. Do you know who is behind me? I advise you, kneel down and admit your mistake. Li Tianheng's expression was ferocious. Behind me? Isn't it just the Azura Palace? Let him come, I'll take him on. Lin Xian curled his lips. If you don't dare, then scram. Following that, Lin Xian exerted his strength and sent Li Tianheng flying. He crashed into the shop's entrance that was smashed by him. Li Tianheng screamed miserably as the pieces of glass pierced through the floor. The other members of the Azura Palace quickly ran over and saw this scene. Tian. Brother Tian. They quickly helped him up. Fuck. Prickly. Li Tianheng was covered in wounds. However, none of them were serious. All of them were external injuries. Even so, they still caused him great pain. Today, Li Tianheng will be defeated here. However, I guarantee that within 7 days, your art courtyard group will become a pile of wasteland. Let's go. Li Tianheng gritted his teeth and said angrily, Don't be in such a hurry. At this moment, Lin Xian walked over like a demon. Li Tianheng's body trembled. It was completely subconscious. He was probably scared of being beaten up. What are you doing? Lin Xian curled his lips. He pointed at the door and said, You want to leave after smashing my shop's entrance? Don't you want to compensate me? Cheap. Li Tianheng sneered. Go, give him 10,000 yuan. Lin Xian walked over and sent Li Tianheng flying with another slap. 10,000? Do you think I'm a beggar? 100 million. If you lose a single cent, I'll make you lose a leg. Everyone swallowed a mouthful of saliva. 100 million? Li Tianheng was about to collapse. However, his injuries were too severe, and he had lost too much blood. You're extorting me. Heh. My shop's entrance is made of Armstrong polymeric glass. The cost is more than 10 million. Li Tianheng. Isn't this just a normal bulletproof glass? I can break it with just a little bit of strength. Polymeric glass? What about the remaining 90 million? You scared me. 90 million for mental damage. Li Tianheng. You're courting death. Slap. Lin Xian sent him flying with another slap. Then he stepped on his finger. 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Crack. Then everyone saw that his finger was crushed. A heart-wrenching scream was heard. Then it's your arm. Lin Xian stepped on his wrist. Still 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. I'll give. Li Tianheng was really scared. Chapter 610. What the hell? How could he, Lin Xian, be bullied so easily? Li Tianheng trembled as he used his other hand to transfer 100 million to Lin Xian. When Lin Xian saw the transfer of 100 million, the corner of his mouth couldn't help but curl up slightly. The surrounding people were all stunned and convinced. In Linen City, no one dared to provoke the Azura Palace. Other than the 3 major powers, anyone with money or power would have to bow down. After all, this wasn't Tiandu. In a city like this, encountering such a powerful force, everyone would be proud to join the Azura Palace. Even the young people in Linen City felt that the Azura Palace was better. They were working hard to improve their strength so that they could join the Azura Palace. However, they didn't expect that someone below the hall master of the Azura Palace would be beaten to such a state. Maybe he was powerful now, but they were worried about the future. What if the hall master of the White Tiger Hall came personally? What should they do? Li Tianheng will remember what happened today. Just you wait. Let's go. Li Tianheng covered his hand and quickly ran away. 100 million was the money he received from Liao Jian. He didn't expect that he would be beaten up and lose the money. Remember to come often. Lin Xian greeted them with a smile. Those people suddenly staggered. Lin Xian looked at the time and said to the staff, Help me clear the door. Then, he looked at the surrounding people and said, Everyone, Since the Art Pavilion Group dares to establish itself here, it means that we are not afraid of the Azura Palace. You can treat my words as boasting, but it's not important. In 20 minutes, the shops will be officially opened. I don't have any other requests, but as you can see, the line is already a few streets away. I only hope that everyone can buy in an orderly manner. Also, don't panic, the 2 types of medicine are enough for now. 20 minutes later, more than 10 shops were officially opened. The crowd rushed in. Lin Xian and Lin Ye nodded slightly when they saw this scene. Basically, we have confirmed that the 2 types of medicine are indeed popular. We can start expanding. Morongqing said to Lin Xian. Lin Xian nodded. Then let's expand to the surrounding cities first. Little fairy, I'll leave it to you. Lin Ye nodded. No problem. Then I won't care about anything. It's so comfortable. Lin Xian stretched and walked away. Morongqing and Lin Ye looked at each other helplessly. With such a beginning, anyone would pay close attention to it. But this guy just ignored it? Just like that, he became his hands-off manager. Oh, that's right. Something like this happened today as well. It's enough to see that people are jealous of us. The Art Xian Group must be equipped with a complete and mature security system, which is enough to resist the malicious provocation of stronger martial artists. Morongqing said to Lin Ye. Lin Ye pondered for a moment. That's natural, but that requires a relatively powerful martial artist. Which powerful martial artist would be willing to work as a security guard? This was the key point. Which martial artist would be willing to work in the service industry? They all used other means, their own strength, and fighting outside to earn money. The so-called service industry was something that ordinary people did. It was simple. No one with a noble status would be willing to wash dishes for others. In the eyes of those martial artists, they were noble. How could a dignified martial artist with such strength do such a thing? This is a problem. Let Lin Xian solve it. Lin Xian had just asked Lu Yufan and Yi Yi out to play, and then he received this news from Morongqing. Lin Xian also had a headache. What's wrong? Is the business of the Art Xian Group not as good as expected? Lu Yufan asked. That's impossible. This kind of business must be very popular. Yi Yi also said. Lin Xian shook his head. No, it's just that some people are jealous and want to cause trouble. They need some security guards. But think about it. Which martial artist would be willing to work as a security guard? For example, the members of the Azura Palace who came to cause trouble were members of the Azura Palace. They were free and willing. They were not security guards guarding a place. This was also related to Lin Xian's power. If he had power, he wouldn't have to worry about these things. Lu Yufan didn't like to use his brain the most. He rested his chin on his hands and looked at Lin Xian like a fool. Yi Yi slowly swirled the drink in her cup with a straw. Actually, if we can't find them for now, we can also scare them, right? Yi Yi suddenly said. Lin Xian looked at her. What do you mean? Yi Yi said softly. I think that with the Art Xian Group's current ability, it can easily reach the level where the Art Xian Group's voice can be trusted. It can simply tell the outside world how powerful the security system of the Art Xian Group is through some simple method. That's right. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. For a company as big as ours, this isn't a rare thing. Although they all know that martial artists are rarely willing to work as security guards, the size of the company is right there. Even if it's fake, it can still scare them for a while. I'll think of something else, Lin Xian said in a low voice. Of course, Lin Xian. Don't you have a good relationship with the 3 major powers? You can ask the 3 major powers for help. Lin Xian shook his head. That won't do. I'll owe them a favor. Moreover, the 3 major powers probably wouldn't want their members to do this for the sake of their members. If it really doesn't work, I can ask my father to ask a few people to protect us for a while. Yeah, I can do that too, Lu Yufan suddenly said. The Yi family and the Lu family were big families in Tianhua City. Although they had moved to Linnan City, they had a lot of resources. They naturally had some arcane body realm and mystic heaven realm cultivators. They might even have some thunder tribulation realm cultivators. Lin Xian looked at them. Yi Yi said, they're our family. Lin Xian, you've helped us so much. I believe that my father and Uncle Lu will agree, but it can't be for too long. Lin Xian nodded. Okay, I think this is the most reliable. When the time comes, I'll give the Yi family and the Lu family 2 types of medicine for free. No need. You helped me increase my attribute power last time. It's already very precious. My father hasn't thought of a way to thank you. He hates owing people favors the most, especially twice. Yi smiled. Okay, then I'll have to trouble you. Hee, it's no trouble at all. As long as you bring us out to play often, it'll be fine. I know that you're very busy with many things, Chief Lin. Do you think you can fulfill our small request? Lu Yufan said with a smile. Of course. Get a room and wait for me tonight. The 2 girls. Stinky Hooligan. Chapter 611. Tonight was a very important night for Lin Xian. Tonight was the first time he went out on a date with Ling Longshui alone. He had to make good use of this opportunity. Ling Longshui's favorability towards him had almost reached the 50 favorability level. Of course, Lin Xian knew that at this level, even if the favorability level reached 60 or even 70, his confession might not necessarily succeed. He needed an opportunity, and the opportunity to confess to this kind of girl was very important. Lin Xian didn't plan to confess so directly. He wanted to cultivate their relationship tonight first. Others were in a terrible fix over finding a girlfriend, but Lin Xian was in a terrible fix over which one, how to woo, and how to woo a beauty of this level was a little flustered. Ling Longshui, Ling Longyu, and even Bing Lingyue had all returned to a relatively peaceful state of life. It had been many years, and it was rare for them to enjoy such a peaceful state of life. The current demonic beast domain was a very dangerous place. Tianhua City had just fallen, and even an idiot knew how many powerful demonic beasts were still outside. Now wasn't a good time to go to the demonic beast domain to farm. Lin Xian was also quite satisfied. He had already reached the 5-star Thunder Tribulation realm. But how should he put it? Although the difference between each major realm was like the difference between heaven and earth, everyone knew that the true difference between the 2 realms was the law realm and the domain realm. The reason was actually very simple. Aside from a very heaven-defying increase in strength, once one reached the law realm, they would be able to comprehend the law. As for what kind of law it was hard to say. However, it didn't mean that one could comprehend it after reaching the law realm. There were even some people who didn't manage to comprehend the law after reaching the law realm. There were quite a few of them. But basically, as long as one's talent was normal, one would be able to comprehend their own law after reaching the law realm. It was the same for the domain realm. Some people could even comprehend the law of time, the law of space, and the domain realm. In other words, even if one didn't have the space attribute, it didn't mean that one didn't have the space attribute. There was also a chance to comprehend the law of space and the domain realm, but they weren't attributes. This was something that needed to be emphasized. There was still a fundamental difference, and there were also differences in the effects. For example, if one had the domain realm, it might only have the effect of space imprisonment, but if one had the domain realm, as long as it was related to space, it could be released. There might even be a domain realm, and so on. In short, this was what Lin Xian was looking forward to. The sky gradually darkened. It was late autumn, and the sky started to darken at 6 o'clock. However, because of the large influx of Tianhua City citizens, there were millions more citizens in Linan City. Moreover, the citizens of Tianhua City weren't familiar with this place, so there were a lot of people on the streets. It was quite lively. Linya felt quite fulfilled. She was still busy in the art pavilion building. After all, it was her first day, and she had to personally take care of the accounts of the major shops. Ling Ying and Han Chuxue were also looking around this place that was also a new city to them. Miao Xiaomiao began to reorganize the Wind Mercenary Group. There were many things that needed to be done. Wang Xintong continued to improve herself, and Xiao Runing became her mentor. In short, everyone seemed to be quite busy at this moment. Only Lin Xian was very free. Lin Xian quietly went to Ling Longshui and the others' new residence. At this moment, Ling Longyue was in a bad mood in the room. Sister, Why did you agree to go out with that bad guy Lin Xian? Ling Longyue pouted and looked at Ling Longshui, who had just put on her coat. Ling Longshui seemed to have specially dressed up today. She was very beautiful. She had such a noble temperament and was so beautiful. As the saying goes, clothes make the man, and horses make the saddle. Actually, clothes made a lot of difference for both men and women, especially for especially beautiful girls. A pure white turtleneck sweater was the lining. To be honest, a beauty with such a temperament would look the best in pure white clothes. The outer coat was a long furry brown coat. Coupled with Ling Longshui's tall figure, it really looked good. After all, the weather was cold. Although she wasn't afraid of the cold, she couldn't wear cool clothes when there were people wearing cotton-padded jackets outside, right? However, Ling Longyue was extremely unhappy. How could her sister go out alone with that bad guy Lin Xian? Woo! She felt that Lin Xian wasn't good enough for Ling Longshui. However, Ling Longshui had agreed. Although she didn't want to admit it, in Ling Longyue's eyes, her sister would always be the most beautiful and outstanding girl. Then there was Sister Bing. In fact, she was a sister complex. It was just that she didn't show it because of her pride. However, during this period of time, the relationship between the sisters had improved a lot. Ling Longyue could even speak her own thoughts. As a bystander, Bing Lingyue saw it clearer than anyone else. However, she didn't care. She also didn't give any suggestions. She felt that anything was fine. She was more relaxed. However, her feelings towards Lin Xian were also very strange. Although she didn't talk much and didn't communicate much with Lin Xian, she cared a lot about Lin Xian. Especially after that time when Lin Xian and Ling Ying's musical ended, the feelings in her heart became stronger. She always felt that there was a connection between her and Lin Xian. However, this connection was lacking something. She couldn't explain it. In short, she felt that Lin Xian was quite good. Even a girl like Ling Longshui was very outstanding. However, she didn't feel that there was anything wrong with her being together with Lin Xian. Ling Longshui put on her coat and said faintly, "You have to keep your promise. Moreover, Lin Xian helped us so much." "I know, but..." Ling Longyue pouted her little mouth again. Bing Lingyue rubbed Ling Longyue's little head and smiled. "Do you think that Lin Xian can take advantage of your sister?" "Of course not. But that big bad guy is really bad." Ling Longyue didn't understand why. Her sister was obviously very powerful. However, for some reason she felt that Lin Xian could take advantage of her. Maybe he was too bad. "How am I bad?" At this time, Lin Xian opened the door and walked in. He stared at Ling Longyue. Lin Xian, this shameless guy, also got the keys to their house. "Humph. You know very well whether you're bad or not." Ling Longyue stared back at him without any fear. "I brought you out to play and eat delicious food every day in vain. It turns out that I'm a bad guy in your heart. Alright, I've worked hard for nothing. It turns out that what I did was unnecessary. In that case, I won't bring you out to eat delicious food in the future. You can go by yourself." Ling Longyue. Chapter 612. But to Ling Longyue, this was an extremely frightening threat. "Humph." She snorted and chose to remain silent. She couldn't go without food. Lin Xian then looked at Ling Longshui. "Hee Xiao Ling Long, you're so beautiful today." Ding. You can feel Ling Longyue's jealousy and unhappiness. Adonis points plus 100,000. Ling Longshui was already immune to Lin Xian's flirtatious words. But Ling Longyue was not happy. How dare he tease her sister in front of her? Kill him. Kill him. Bing Lingyue did not have much of an emotional reaction. She just smiled and watched them play. "Bastard. You're not allowed to look." Ling Longyue gritted her teeth and glared at Lin Xian. "Lin Xian. Damn. Now it's none of your business whether I look or not." Ling Longshui did not have much of a reaction. "Let's go." "Alright, little Bing Bing and you little brat, let's go. We won't bring you guys along." "Wahahaha. This is fun." Bing Lingyue smiled. Then, the two of them walked out under Ling Longyue's resentful gaze. "Sister Bing, look at this big bad guy taking my sister away. What should we do?" Ling Longyue pouted her lips and muttered. "You won't even be taken advantage of by him. Why are you worried that your sister will be taken advantage of by Lin Xian? The main thing is that bad guy has too many tricks up his sleeve. Plus, even though my sister is strong, she doesn't know much about the human race. She might be taken advantage of by him. There was probably another reason, and that was that this girl's favorability towards Lin Xian was not low. She seemed to be a little jealous. Even his elder sister was jealous. This damn charm. Bing Lingyue looked at Ling Longyue and laughed in her heart. If you can't, you can follow them secretly if you're worried. Ling Longyue's eyes flashed. Yes, yes. Your sister Bing will follow me. Do I still need to follow? Ling Longyue then happily held Bing Lingyue's hand. Let's go, let's go. We can't let that bad guy Lin Xian take advantage of big sister. Remember, don't let them find out. They'll do their thing, and you'll do yours. Okay. In fact, Ling Longyue was thinking the same thing. She was just too embarrassed to say it out loud. How could Bing Lingyue not know what she was thinking? Then help her say it. Then, the two girls quietly followed Lin Xian and the others. Of course, it wasn't really tailing them. Wherever they went to play, they would follow. They wouldn't pay attention to them the whole time. They would play by themselves. Humph. If others went out to play, why couldn't they go out too? Of course, that was a matter for the future. At this moment, Lin Xian and Ling Longshui had just arrived downstairs. It was already dark outside, but it was very lively. Where are we going? Ling Longshui put her hands in the pockets of her coat. The wind was a little strong, causing her hair to dance slightly. She was really beautiful. This woman was simply a masterpiece of heaven and earth. Where do you want to go? Lin Xian smiled and asked. Didn't you ask me out? I'll just follow you. Ling Longshui didn't care. In her heart, she was just keeping her promise. She was just giving Lin Xian a chance to pursue her. But a chance was a chance. If she didn't agree, then she didn't agree. Anyway, she was determined in her heart. But, perhaps she herself didn't quite understand her own heart. Because to be honest, she was actually looking forward to going out to play. She didn't realize it herself. And she didn't even realize how high her favorability towards Lin Xian had reached. In this world, Lin Xian was the second man who could make her like this. The first was her father. Then let's go to Rose Heaven. Lin Xian smiled and said. Ling Longshui frowned slightly. Isn't that a hotel? Eat. Ahem, Lin Xian nodded. Yes, eat. If they didn't eat, Lin Xian would rather go to the hotel to do what he needed to do. But, I'm not very hungry right now. Ling Longshui thought and said. Then, I'll take you to a very interesting place. Yes, let's go. To the casino. Lin Xian smiled and said. To be honest, he had never been to such a place. The protagonists in TV dramas and novels went there to play. He felt that it was quite interesting. Lin and City also had such a large casino. Lin Xian also wanted to go there to have some fun. Gambling? Ling Longshui asked. Yes, the three of you should have spent most of your money, right? Yes. I guess you don't want to accept my favor and take my money, right? Then go and earn some money yourself. It's a good way to have some fun. Okay. But I don't think it's interesting. Ling Longshui said. Lin Xian's lips curled. We'll know if it's interesting or not when we get there. To be honest, anything that Ling Longshui and the others hadn't experienced should be interesting to them. Lin Xian also believed that they should have some fun tonight. Wait. Lin Xian called out to Ling Longshui. Yes. Give me your hand. Lin Xian said to Ling Longshui. Ling Longshui really believed Lin Xian. She reached out her hand from the pocket of her coat. Then Lin Xian directly interlocked his fingers with hers. Ling Longshui. What are you doing? She subconsciously shook off Lin Xian's hand. My hand is so cold. Your hand must be very warm in your pocket. Lin Xian said weakly. Then put it in your pocket. Lin Xian then spread out his hand. My pocket is too shallow. I can't put my hand in it. Why don't you let me put my hand in yours? Get lost. Ling Longshui said lightly, and then turned around to leave. Lin Xian shrugged his shoulders. Women are so hard to get. Ling Longyu and Bing Lingyue just happened to come down and saw this scene. Crack. The can of Sprite in Ling Longyu's hand was crushed. Bing Lingyue secretly shook her head. Sister Bing, look at him. He just came down, and he's already taking advantage of my sister. I'm going to kill him. You promised me not to let them find out. Bing Lingyue said. Oh, okay. Big bad guy. Ding. Sensing Linglong Yu's displeasure. Adonis points plus 200,000. Ding. Sensing Linglong Yu's jealousy. Adonis points plus 200,000. The system notification came out of nowhere and Lin Xian was slightly stunned. Obviously, he knew that Ling Longyue must have seen it, which was why the system notification appeared. He looked back but didn't see anyone. She must be hiding. Lin Xian smirked. This was interesting. Not only could he bring Ling Longshui out alone, but if she did well, she would probably contribute a lot of Adonis points tonight. Tonight would be a wonderful night. Chapter 613. Lin Xian brought Ling Longshui to a place called the Menao Casino. The entire casino was underground. Of course, this did not mean that it was illegal. On planet Aqua Blue, gambling was not illegal. It was only illegal if you did something illegal while gambling. It was your own business whether you gambled or not. It was also your own business whether you gambled until your family was ruined, or if you jumped off a building. In this era, there were so many beasts out there and humans were in danger. No one had the time to care about this kind of thing. As long as your casino was legal and didn't have sex, there wouldn't be a problem. The entire Menao casino was underground. The area of each floor was unimaginably large. It was located under a 5-star hotel. Why did we come to a hotel again? Ling Longshui saw Lin Xian bring her to the entrance of the hotel and frowned. She had stayed in the human world for quite some time. Of course, she knew that a hotel was not only a place to eat, but also a place to sleep. So when Lin Xian said that he would bring her to gamble, and then brought her to a place like this, she couldn't help but overthink. Because this is a casino. Lin Xian said with a smile. Ling Longshui frowned. She felt like she had been cheated. Was it because this guy always cheated girls? Let's go. You're not hungry now. I can't bring you here to eat, right? Lin Xian smiled. Don't we have a room? Ling Longshui mumbled. What? You want to get a room with me? You should have said so earlier. Let's go. Lin Xian then pulled Ling Longshui's hand and dragged her into the hotel. Ling Longshui. She shook off Lin Xian's hand and said, That's not what I meant. She was saying that not only could they come to the hotel to eat, they could also get a room. Then this guy wanted to drag her to get a room. Bastard. He definitely had bad intentions. Ding. You have sensed Ling Longyue's displeasure. Adonis points plus 100,000. Sister Bing, look at this big bad guy. He's trying to get physical with my sister. Ling Longyue pouted unhappily as she said from behind. Bing Lingyue smiled. Humph. I've long known that he was up to no good. I exist to protect my sister. Ling Longyue finally found a reason for herself. On the other side, Lin Xian scratched his head. Sarue, I misunderstood. I thought you were lonely. Ling Longshui. She wanted to beat him up. Then why did you come to this hotel? Gambling. Why would I lie to you? Just follow me. Then, Lin Xian walked in with Ling Longshui. When the two of them walked in, the people in the hall all looked over and were shocked. For a girl like Ling Longshui, how should one put it? There was no other girl who could attract more attention than her. Although there were many beautiful girls around Lin Xian, if one were to disregard everything else, Ling Longshui and Bing Lingyue were the ones that could drive men crazy. Lin Xian brought Ling Longshui into the elevator and pressed the button for basement 1. Oh right, in a place like a casino, usually a guy brings a girl in, and the girl asks to be the guy's girlfriend. Lin Xian started to talk nonsense to Ling Longshui. Since she didn't know about these things, it didn't matter if she believed him or not. Then I'm not going. Ling Longshui said quietly. Lin Xian. Hey. I already said that I would bring you here to have fun. How can I do that? I didn't ask you to be my girlfriend. We're just putting on an act, you know? It's not like we're doing anything. Only a couple can come to a place like this? Ling Longshui asked in surprise. Not necessarily. Either a guy comes by himself, or a couple comes by themselves. If you don't believe me, you can go in and take a look. In a place like a casino, it was either a guy or a girl. Most of the time, it was the rich nouveau riche who brought their little lovers or girlfriends. Okay. The elevator door opened, and in front of them was an unusually chaotic place. The entire space was much bigger than Lin Xian imagined. It definitely wasn't as big as the first floor of a 5-star hotel. It was much bigger. There were all kinds of games in the space. A group of people gathered at each table. Some were gambling, some were watching, and there were cheers and sighs. As Lin Xian expected, many people were smoking cigars and hugging beauties. See, aren't they all men and women? Lin Xian said to Linglong Shui with a smile. Linglong Shui had never seen a place like this before. She just stood there and looked around with a frown. It's so messy. Lin Xian walked to her side. It's okay. This is the atmosphere you should have. If you don't want to be noisy, there should be some. The bottom 2 floors should be. I brought you here to give you a better understanding of our human world. Linglong Shui nodded slightly. Although this place was messy, and there seemed to be all kinds of people here, Linglong Shui was really curious when she saw the passion radiating from these people. Was this so-called gambling really that magical? Could you really make people so excited? Then Lin Xian silently reached out his hand and hugged her slender waist. God! Too invincible. Ding! Hugging a big sister. Prince Charming is worth 500,000. Linglong Shui frowned and dodged to the side. She angrily looked at Lin Xian. What are you doing? Lin Xian said with a straight face, acting like a couple. Let me tell you, this is the requirement here. Look, I brought you here so you have to be a couple. Look at the other guys. Aren't they all hugging their girlfriends? Some are even sitting on their laps. Otherwise, they will be kicked out. Ding, lying to a big sister. Prince Charming is worth 200,000. Ding, feeling Linglong Yu's displeasure. Prince Charming is worth 1 million. That's right. Linglong Yu and Linglong Shui came together. When they came out of the elevator, they saw Lin Xian making a move on Linglong Shui. Linglong Yu was furious, but she held it in and hid in the crowd. Linglong Shui looked at Lin Xian suspiciously. Then she glanced at the scene. It was just as Lin Xian said. If a guy and a girl looked like they were a couple, then they would be a girl with a girl or a guy with a guy. But you still can't get physical. Linglong Shui said and walked forward. She curiously looked at the different gambling tables. Because of Linglong Shui's appearance, many people in the casino had their attention on her. There was no lack of beauties here, but such a beauty was simply an existence that they had never seen before. But there was a man beside her. Chapter 614. Needless to say, Lin Xian quite enjoyed the envious and jealous gazes of these men. Although Linglong Shui was not his girlfriend, it was a matter of time. On the other side, Bing Lingyuan naturally attracted the attention of the gamblers in the casino. But how should he put it? This Menao casino had 3 basement levels. The first level was where Lin Xian and the rest were at. It was basically a gathering place for ordinary gamblers. That meant that they did not come from powerful families. The second basement level was a VIP level casino. It was filled with rich and powerful people. Only those who had at least 5 million could enter. The amount of money gambling there was much higher than the first basement level. As for the third basement level, it was a top-level casino. It was possible to gamble for tens of millions. It was very exaggerated. But to be honest, there were still many rich people in this era. Lin Xian was also clear about the 2 basement levels. Of course, he had to go there. But he had to go slowly. It was like playing a game. He had to take Linglong Shui through the levels first. On the first basement level, most of the people had evil intentions but no guts. Although they were stunned by Linglong Shui, they did not have much courage. But there were still quite a lot of hooligans. Do you see? The way these people look at you. Lin Xian whispered to Linglong Shui. Linglong Shui was already used to it. I have a way to make them not pay attention to you so much. We'll play our own game. What? Linglong Shui asked. Pretend to be my girlfriend. Otherwise we'll be kicked out. Lin Xian reached out his hand again. Linglong Shui subconsciously avoided it. No. Then it's fine if we hold hands, right? Otherwise they'll kick us out. Linglong Shui also felt that this place was quite novel. Holding hands, actually, it didn't seem like a big deal. Seeing that Linglong Shui did not say anything, Lin Xian thought that it was a silent agreement. He expressed it for her. Then, He reached out and held Linglong Shue's soft hand. TSK, TSK, TSK. Linglong Shue subconsciously struggled, but she could not break free. She glanced at Lin Xian and gave up. It didn't matter. It should be fine for friends to hold hands. Ding! You felt Linglong Yu's extreme displeasure. Adonis points plus 1 million. Another system notification popped up. Lin Xian smirked. Of course, he knew that the two girls were following him. But if he did not say anything, who knew how many Adonis points Linglong Yu would give him tonight? And now, Lin Xian was especially lacking in Adonis points. If the Art Xian group wanted to develop in the long term, they would need a large amount of Adonis points. Moreover, they could not only do this in the future. Lin Xian had already thought about it. After some time, he would let Lin Yu develop the industry that she was familiar with, which was special clothing. Previously, she did not want to develop it too much. She only sold it in Tianhua City. However, it was very popular. This time she could also expand her ambitions. Lin Xian also believed that she would be welcomed by the people of the mainland. Lin Xian was already very satisfied. He was already holding hands with Linglong Shue. In the past he did not dare to think like this. Although it was a lie, if there was a first time, there would be a second time. In the future, he would be more familiar with it. Linglong Shue would accept it more easily. This was the key. Towards this kind of girl, he could not be impatient. He really had to take it slow. Sister Bing, look at them. Linglong Yue saw Lin Xian and her sister walking around hand in hand. She was confused. They can't be. Linglong Yue bit her lips. Bing Lingyue smiled and said, how can it be so easy? Lin Xian must have lied to Linglong. Bing Lingyue was a very smart woman. Otherwise, she would not have been able to become the empress. She looked at the men and women on the scene, their relationships, and the relationship between Linglong Shue and Lin Xian. She could roughly guess what was going on. Needless to say, she guessed it correctly. Bad guy, I will go and tell my sister. Linglong Yue pouted and wanted to run over. But Bing Lingyue stopped her. Hey, we agreed not to disturb them. Linglong Yue then pulled her little head. She was unhappy, extremely unhappy. Beauty, can we get to know each other? At this moment, a few young men smiled and surrounded Bing Lingyue and Linglong Yue. It was shocking. Bing Lingyue's mouth had a familiar relaxed smile. I don't know you, thank you. It's just the two of you. It's boring. Come and play with us. We will help you win money. Get lost. Don't bother me. Linglong Yue was unhappy. Then she suddenly released her aura. Those few people swallowed their saliva. Oh my god. She was an expert. On the other side, Lin Xian did not bear to let go of Linglong Shue's hand. At first, Linglong Shue was not used to it. Slowly, as Lin Xian explained some gambling methods to her, she gradually forgot that they were holding hands. Is this fun? Linglong Shue's beautiful eyes looked at a huge gambling table with interest. This table, no, this type of table should have the most people around. Linglong Shue had also been paying attention to it. It was a simple game of guessing the size of a sieve. Then a group of people would place their bets. There wasn't much skill involved. It was basically just luck. However, because it was simple and most of the people here were relatively ordinary gamblers, guessing the size of a sieve became the most popular gambling method in the basement. You want to play this? Lin Xian asked with a smile. Anything is fine. Linglong Shue said lightly. Then we need to have chips. How much money do you have? Linglong Shue took out her cell phone. None. She said it quite frankly. Lin Xian touched the tip of his nose. Then, I'll lend you some, but you have to return double. Lin Xian said with a smile. Sure. To Linglong Shue, this was a small matter. Would she be worried about money? Furthermore, Lin Xian had mentioned that he was not only bringing her to broaden her horizons, but also to let her earn money. She was at the Great Void Realm, an existence that was close to the Heavenly Tao Realm. How could she not earn the money of ordinary humans? Impossible. So be it if I return double. Lin Xian then pulled Linglong Shue's hand and ran in a particular direction. Help me exchange 1,000,000 chips. I want all of them to be 100,000. The beautiful woman bowed slightly and said, Mister, the amount on this floor is relatively small. Do you really intend to ask for 100,000 chips? Yeah. Please wait a moment. Not long after, she handed 10 yellow chips to Lin Xian. Lin Xian also transferred 1,000,000 to the casino. Lin Xian handed the 10 to Linglong Shui. They were like 10 coins that could be held in one hand. Lin Xian said, "This one is 100,000. But this isn't money." Linglong Shui revealed a puzzled look. Lin Xian smiled. "These are chips from the casino. They can be exchanged for money, and are also exchanged with money. We play to win them, and exchange them for money." I see. Chapter 6:15. The two of them walked to a table with fewer people. The people around them looked at the sieve with excitement. When the sieve was opened, some people were happy, while others were sad. Lin Xian then explained to Linglong Shui. Guessing big or small is the simplest gambling method. The dealer shakes the sieve, and everyone else can bet on it. For example, there are 3 sieves here. 1 to 9 is small, and 10 to 18 is big. You bet money on it. In the end, if you lose, your money will be gone. If you win, all the money in the prize pool will be given to you according to how much money you bet. Linglong Shui nodded. Although she had never played it before, it was simple and easy to understand. So it's a game of pure luck? Linglong Shui asked. Lin Xian nodded, and then shook his head. Not necessarily. Casinos are much more complicated than you think. There are many tricks in it. Luck is the most important thing in gambling. But there is a saying called manipulation. However, the first level of gambling like this isn't very expensive, so manipulation should be rare. Let's go and play. Linglong Shui nodded, and then followed Lin Xian a little cautiously. When the people around saw the 2 people suddenly appear, they didn't think much of it at first. However, they were beauties. This kind of creature, especially a fairy whose beauty was unimaginable, was the most eye-catching existence in any situation. Many people stared at Linglong Shui. She was used to these gazes. She was dressed very tightly, so she didn't worry about anything. The beautiful dealer was wearing a uniform. Originally, everyone's attention was on her. However, the appearance of Linglong Shui caused everyone's attention to be focused on Linglong Shui. She didn't wear a uniform, but her temperament and beauty crushed these beauties in the eyes of these people. God! So fairies really existed in this world. This wasn't an exaggeration at all. Linglong Shui didn't feel much prettier than Ling Ying and Han Chuxue. But standing together, she was the brightest star. Maybe it was because of her temperament. Lin Xian didn't have to worry about anything. If these people could take advantage of her, then they wouldn't be Linglong Shui. Back then, when Lin Xian flirted with her, Linglong Shui wanted to kill him. Those who haven't bet on big or small, you can bet now. The beautiful dealer smiled and glanced at the crowd. Linglong Shui was also very surprised. 10,000 chips big. 5,000 big. 15,000 chips small. One by one, the gamblers bet their luck. 5 or 10,000 didn't seem like much. But no matter big or small, the prize pool added up to more than 100 or 200,000. If they could win consecutively, they could actually win quite a lot. Of course, compared to millions or tens of millions, this was child's play. Lin Xian was only letting Linglong Shui familiarize herself with the game for the time being. The others bet very casually. They were all experienced gamblers and knew that it was all about luck. It was useless to think about it, so they should be more decisive and leave it to fate. Linglong Shui didn't understand. She held the chips in her hand and looked at the gambling table very seriously. She was very serious. Lin Xian couldn't help but laugh when he saw her like this. I say, wife, just play as you wish. Don't think about it, just bet wherever you want. Linglong Shui directly and decisively ignored Lin Xian's way of addressing her. When the surrounding people heard this, they were all in a bad mood. This fairy-like girl was actually this little brat's girlfriend? Why? F***ck. Then let's go big. Linglong Shui threw in 10 chips. Lin Xian. The others were also dumbfounded. The entire table didn't even have 1,000,000 chips. You alone threw in 1,000,000 chips? Meanwhile, the gamblers who bet small were all excited. They might be able to earn tens of thousands of yuan in one round. But the other side who bet big had an extra 1,000,000. If they lost, they would lose this much. If they won, they would win 1 or 200,000. Sorry. I bet too much. Lin Xian then took out 500,000 chips and placed them in Ling Longshue's hand. If they didn't do well, they would lose 1,000,000. Lin Xian didn't expect to win now. He just wanted to let Ling Longshue familiarize herself with the game. In any case, she would definitely win later. But this million should last for a while, right? Hey, what do you mean by this? If you bet, you bet. There's no reason to take it back. On the other side, a middle-aged man who bet small yelled unhappily. Yeah, that's right. There's no way to take it back. Put it back. If you can't afford to play, then don't play. Put it back. The gamblers who bet small were naturally unwilling to let their chips be taken away. If they won, they would lose half of their winnings. Ling Longshue frowned slightly and looked at Lin Xian. She didn't quite understand. Then put it in. Lin Xian shrugged his shoulders. Then Ling Longshue threw in her chips. Open. Quickly open. The gamblers stared at the sieve cylinder impatiently. Then the beautiful dealer opened the sieve cylinder. 332 small. Yeah, we've struck it big. The gamblers who bet small were all excited. We lost. Ling Longshue looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian nodded. We lost 1,000,000. Oh, she nodded slightly, and then bit her lip. Again, she seemed unwilling to admit defeat. She was a prideful person. Losing money over such a small matter made her very uncomfortable. Hey, don't be so serious. You can't get addicted. Ling Longshue looked at Lin Xian and nodded. Don't worry. I'll only do it this once. I just don't want to lose. Lin Xian also believed that this girl wouldn't get addicted to gambling. Beautiful girl, handsome guy, don't go. Continue. I believe you'll win it back. Yeah. Who can say for sure when it comes to luck, right? Maybe we'll win in the next round. The group of gamblers who won money tempted Lin Xian and the rest. Anyway, they only needed to bet. Even if they lost, they would only lose a little. If they won, they would win more if they bet more. This was human nature. What beautiful girl. What fairy. What they couldn't get wasn't as important as the benefits in front of them. The beautiful dealer looked at Lin Xian and said, You too, if you want to play a little bigger, you can go to the second basement floor. Lin Xian's lips curled up. No rush. My wife doesn't want to admit defeat. Then let's continue playing. Let's win back what we lost first. Then, help me get 1,000,000 chips. He could lose money, but he had to let Ling Longshue feel good. Ding! Ling Longshue's favorability towards you +1. Chapter 616. Although Ling Longshue wasn't Lin Xian's girlfriend, he felt that this saying was right. How did he increase his favorability with her in the past? It was simply too difficult. But now, he agreed to continue playing with her, and she increased her favorability with him. On the other side, Ling Longyue and Bing Lingyue felt that it was quite interesting and quickly joined the other side of the gambling table. Lin Xian exchanged another 1,000,000 chips. If he didn't play, he would let Ling Longshue play. After the beautiful dealer shook the dice, she smiled and said, Everyone, please place your bets. After she finished speaking, under normal circumstances, everyone would place their bets. However, this time, no one placed their bets for a long time. They looked at Lin Xian and Ling Longshue, waiting for them to place their bets first. Everyone's mentality was the same. If they continued to bet like that, then the amount they bet would be more than the previous table. They only needed to bet the opposite and win more. Ling Longshue looked very serious. She placed another 1,000,000 chips on big. After placing her bet, she looked at Lin Xian and asked, Is it okay? Lin Xian smiled and said, If you think it's okay, then it's okay. Ling Longshue then nodded. I'll bet on small. Small. After Ling Longshue placed her bet on big, they saw that she placed another 1,000,000. Then, they all placed their bets on small. One should know that in the past, when they bet on small, the other side would only have 200,000 to 300,000. If they won, then they would split it and win 10,000 to 20,000. But now the other side had 1,000,000. If they won, then they would win more. In their eyes, Lin Xian and Ling Longshue were fat meat. This time, no one followed Ling Longshue's bet because they knew that even if they won, they would only be able to take away 90% of the money they had bet on 1 million yuan. They might as well bet on 1 million yuan instead, because everyone bet on small, and everyone wanted to earn a portion of the 1 million. The total amount of money on the other side was close to 1 million. After all of them were small. The beautiful dealer slowly opened the sieve cylinder, as everyone stared at it without blinking. Linglong Shue's beautiful eyes were also staring nervously. If others were to know that a goddess who was about to reach the heavenly Tao realm was still so childish, they would definitely find it unbelievable. However, it was something she had never come into contact with before. Furthermore, she didn't like failure. After her first failure, she would want to be strong and take it seriously, causing her to care more about winning or losing. 556. Big. The beautiful dealer said with a smile. The group of gamblers looked disappointed inside. Did I win? Linglong Shui asked Lin Xian in confusion. Lin Xian smiled and nodded. I won. Then, she proudly stretched out her hand, and all the chips on the table gathered in front of her. She looked a little satisfied, and almost all the money she had lost earlier was recovered. Let's continue. It seemed like Linglong Shue's luck was on the rise. In the next 3 rounds, she had placed all her bets correctly. Furthermore, she was the only one against a group of people. If she won, it would all be hers. Finally, she held 3 chips worth 1 million and 10 chips worth 500,000. She happily walked to the next spot with Lin Xian. Here. Linglong Shui handed the chips to Lin Xian. What's up? Lin Xian asked in puzzlement. I'm returning your money. Lin Xian smiled and said. It's not enough. I'll pay you double. You're still short of 500,000. Then let's continue. Linglong Shui was here to earn money. She couldn't possibly not have enough money to repay Lin Xian. Miss Sir, you can try going to the second basement. A handsome man in a suit smiled as he walked over to Lin Xian and Linglong Shui. Linglong Shui looked at Lin Xian, as if asking for Lin Xian's opinion. Let's go. We should be able to earn more money on basement 2. Then they took the elevator to basement 2. The man in the suit smiled slightly. He adjusted the earpiece in his ear and said, Young Masterin, they've already gone to basement 2. A man's voice came from inside. When they reach basement 2, let them win tens of millions. Trick them into going to basement 3. Yes. In a very exquisite room on the 3rd floor of the basement, the corners of a handsome man's mouth curled up slightly. In front of him were the surveillance cameras of the entire casino, and he also noticed Linglong Shui. He was the owner of this casino in Mingho. He was a few years younger than Liao Jian, but his family's wealth and power were comparable to Liao Jian's. He was also one of the overlords of Lin and City. Even Liao Jian didn't dare to provoke him. Why? Because the Azura Palace's White Tiger Hall master was his uncle. From the moment they came in, many people had their eyes on Linglong Shui. Most importantly, this woman was too beautiful, including Bing Lingyue who came later. However, everyone had their own preferences. Although Linglong Shui had a male companion, and Mingho had his eyes on her, he was determined to get this woman. Therefore, he needed a little bit of scheming. First, he would let them win some money on basement 2. After tasting the sweetness, he would trick them to basement 3. Presumably, they would be arrogant because of their consecutive wins, thinking that they were invincible. Then, he would make them bankrupt in the high-stakes gambling on basement 3. At that time, no matter how beautiful this woman was, wouldn't she be at his mercy? He could tell that they had some money, but when he saw their happy faces after winning a few 100,000, he could roughly guess what kind of existence they were. Disdain. He didn't know Lin Xian, and he didn't watch the news conference, although he did buy some potions. At this moment, Lin Xian and Linglong Shui had arrived at the 2nd underground floor. It had to be said that the 2nd underground floor was much bigger than the 1st underground floor. However, it was much more luxurious and dazzling. There weren't as many people as the 1st underground floor, but it was still quite a lot. The 2nd underground floor wasn't as noisy as the 1st underground floor. The wine and food were freely available, and Linglong Shui felt that it was quite good. No, to be precise, this was Linglong Shui's heaven. Linglong Shui's mouth was twitching, Because of Bing Lingyue's presence, many men had gathered around them, trying to strike up a conversation. Where are Lin Xian and sister? Ling Longshui suddenly realized that they were gone. It seems like they went to basement 2. Bing Lingyue said, let's go too. Ling Longshui then pulled Bing Lingyue and ran towards the elevator. Ladies, I'm sorry. Basement 2 requires 5 million worth of assets to enter. Ling Longshui then blinked her big eyes and looked at Bing Lingyue. Bing Lingyue smiled and shrugged her shoulders. Nope. You guys forced me to do this. Ling Longshui then took the remaining 200,000 chips and entered the gambling house again. Chapter 617. 10 minutes later, Ling Longyu walked into the elevator with Bing Lingyue with a few million chips. Originally, she didn't want to act shamelessly, but without money, the beautiful girl had to be restrained. Then, she relied on her powerful strength to casually change the size of the sieve in the sieve cylinder, and then ate it all. Because they had won a few million on the first floor, the two of them had attracted the attention of the casino. The casino was such a place. On the first floor, there were no hidden operations. However, on the second and third floor, the casino would definitely have some tricks up their sleeves in order to make money for themselves. It didn't matter if they won money on the first floor, but later on, they could make them spit it all out. Who didn't have some tricks up their sleeves when they opened a casino? But if you couldn't catch them, you couldn't. If you lost money, you were a noob. Lin Xian and Ling Longshui didn't gamble for more than 10 minutes. They just ate and drank, chatted, and observed the bets around them. At this time, a few men walked over with smiles. Do you two want to play a few solo games? A handsome man said with a smile as he looked at Ling Longshui. She was really beautiful. Stunning. Solo. How do we play? Lin Xian asked. Anything is fine. Simple games are fine. Or do you want to compete? How about golden flowers? Ling Longshui looked at Lin Xian in confusion. She didn't understand. Okay, golden flowers it is. Lin Xian smiled. Please. Then they walked away. Lin Xian stood up and walked over with Ling Longshui. How do we play? Ling Longshui was a complete newbie, but she found it interesting. Lin Xian also enjoyed this moment. Ling Longshui didn't understand, but he did. He taught Ling Longshui. It was a wonderful feeling. Lin Xian said, it's simple. Do you remember the poker game we played? Ling Longshui nodded. Exploding golden flower. Each person draws 3 cards. The 3 cards of the same suit are called leopard, which is the biggest. Then it's straight golden flower, which is the straight of the same suit. Then it's straight golden flower, which is the straight of the same suit. Then it's golden flower, which is the straight of the same suit. Then it's golden flower, which is the biggest of the 3 cards of the same suit. Then, Lin Xian roughly explained the rules to Ling Longshui. She was very smart. She knew about poker because they had played it several times in the past. Lin Xian had also taught her a long time ago. He roughly explained the rules to her, and she knew how to play it. Yes, it was just the rules. The golden flower explosion also included psychological aspects and so on. In any case, Lin Xian just let Ling Longshui play. At the gambling table, Ling Longshui sat on one side, and on the other side was her opponent Wang Nanmu. Behind Wang Nanmu stood a few of his friends. Next to Ling Longshui sat Lin Xian to help her check. In front of them were the chips. Beauty, how big of a bet can you take? Wang Nanmu asked with a smile. Up to you. Okay, then we'll follow the rules of the second floor. The base is 100,000, and the increment is 50,000. What do you think? Okay. Then Wang Nanmu nodded. Let's begin. The beautiful dealer dealt them 3 cards one by one. Then Ling Longshui took a look. Is it very big? She asked Lin Xian. Lin Xian touched the tip of his nose, then pushed all the chips in front of Ling Longshui into the pot. Wang Nanmu frowned. 5-card stud? Who played like that? He was just trying to scare him. Interesting. But he was here to lose money. And in his hand was a heart of the same color. How could he lose money like that? On Ling Longshui's side, 2-3K. Wang Nanmu smiled and said, Guys, do you think I'm afraid of you playing like this? 5-card stud it is. Then he pushed in the 3 million chips in front of him. Lin Xian smiled and said, "Then let's compete." Wang Nanmu rubbed the cards in his hand. The 6, 7, and 9 cards were in the same color. Among them, the 9 became a different color. In other words, the biggest card in this hand was a 9. There were plenty of people who cheated in order to win money, but he was the only one who cheated in order to lose money. There was nothing he could do. After all, this was young Master An's order. Losing money was only temporary. He could always win it back. This was a $6 million match right from the start, which immediately attracted a lot of spectators. "Reveal your cards," Lin Xian said with a smile. Then, the beautiful dealer revealed their cards one by one. Everyone was stunned when they saw their cards. What was going on? 2 pairs of cards that couldn't be any smaller. They didn't even have an ace. 2 pairs of cards like this. Lin Xian saw that the biggest card in his opponent's hand was a 9. And the corner of his mouth curled up slightly. He knew it in his heart. It was impossible to go 5-card stud with this kind of card. At most, it was a psychological battle. They would raise the price until they scared the other party, and then give up. But 5-card stud? Wasn't that losing money? Therefore, Lin Xian roughly knew what was going on. He looked at Linglong Shui beside him and sighed inwardly. She was a femme fatale. Sigh. Wang Nanma's face was full of frustration, but he was secretly happy. It was fine as long as he lost. It was fine as long as he lost. "I say, young Master Wang, aren't you going a little too hard? You want to go 5-card stud with the biggest 9? Aren't you AK too? It's fine, it's just a small amount of money. Do you want to continue?" Wang Nanmu asked. "Of course. My wife's luck today is unbelievably good. Of course I want to continue." Linglong Shui ignored how Lin Xian addressed her. She also didn't care about what others thought. She only knew that she had won money. This feeling was quite strange. Of course, she wasn't addicted to it. She just felt that it was quite exciting. She felt that Lin Xian wasn't too bad. At least the places he brought her to play weren't too boring. The taboo thing for a guy to go out with a girl was boredom. If a girl agreed to go out with you, it meant that she was interested in you. However, if you made her feel bored, the hormones that the girl had worked so hard to stimulate would be gone. Then, you can forget about doing anything else. Go exchange 10 million in chips for me. Yes, young Master Wang. Very soon, 10 million in chips appeared in front of Wang Nanmu. Wang Nanmu smiled and said, "I've never worried about losing money, but I don't think I'll lose. Let's continue." When Ling Longyue and Bing Lingyue arrived, they saw Lin Xian and the others. The other tables were completely different from the first floor. However, their table was surrounded by dozens of people. They were very curious. Then, they quietly snuck into the crowd so that Lin Xian and the others couldn't see them. At the same time, they could see the bet on the table. At this moment, Linglong Shui had a lot of chips in front of her. The chips added up to 10 million. On the other hand, Wang Nanma's face was extremely ugly. Linglong Shui didn't have much of a reaction. She just felt that it was quite interesting to win. Lin Xian was basically sure that Wang Nanmu in front of him deliberately came here to lose money. Since you personally came to give me money, how could I not accept it? Chapter 618. Linglong Yu was very excited. She was rich and could eat good food. "Let's go and play," Bing Lingyue said. "Okay." Then they went to the other side while eating good food. The venue was very big. As long as they were not on the opposite side, it was hard to notice them. Just like now, Linglong Shui did not notice Bing Lingyue and Linglong Yu at all. Of course, if she released her divine sense, she would definitely notice them. But who would release their divine sense for no reason? "Young Master Wang, you have already lost 10 million. Do you still have money?" Lin Xian asked with a smile. Linglong Shui felt that she was really lucky. They did not cheat and kept winning. If Wang Nanma knew what she was thinking, he would definitely scold her. Lucky. Lucky my ass, that was a gift from him. No, I have already lost 10 million. It's not good to gamble today. Let's change. Wang Nanmu also knew that if he continued to gamble, it would be suspicious. It was best to change. "Young Master Wang, you are not good. Let me do it." A man behind Wang Nanmu smiled and sat on Wang Nanmu's seat. 10 minutes later, the chips in front of Linglong Shui reached 20 million. Half an hour later, the chips reached 40 million. Many people saw this scene and even felt that they had cheated. They had been winning all this time. Wasn't that too fake? But they could not see anything. Most importantly, the other party did not say anything about cheating. What right did they have to say it? Here. Linglong Shui gave Lin Xian 10 million chips. Why is there so much? Lin Xian was slightly stunned. Take it as my thanks. Linglong Shui said. Then I don't want this. Lin Xian gave the chips to Linglong Shui. Linglong Shui frowned. Then what do you want? I want you. Linglong Shui. If you want to die. She said coldly. Although her tone was a little cold, it was completely different from the indifference she had before. Where else is fun? Linglong Shui felt that Lin Xian had good taste. She had a good time and didn't want to go back. She wanted to go somewhere else. Don't worry, the fun isn't over yet. At this moment, a beautiful dealer walked over with a smile. Both of you, your chips have reached 40 million. The third floor of the basement is an even more luxurious casino. Do you want to go there? In the surveillance room, and Mingho swirled his wine glass and looked at the screen with a mocking expression. The woman who drove him crazy was too beautiful. No matter what price he had to pay, he had to obtain her. Now Lin Xian had won tens of millions from them. According to Mingho's plan, if they continued, they would lose all their money on the third floor of the basement. If they left, he would send people to stop them halfway and leave the money. The man would be crippled, and the woman would be taken away. He didn't want to use violence because it would cause trouble. However, if they left, he had no choice. Do you still want to play? Lin Xian asked Linglong Shui. Linglong Shui looked at the chips in her hand and asked, how long will this last? Lin Xian touched the tip of his nose. According to the situation that you three don't understand, it could be a day or a few months. It shouldn't be too long. Then let's continue. Lin Xian smiled at the beautiful dealer and said, lead the way. Please. And Mingho saw them enter the elevator and finished the red wine in one gulp. He wiped his hands and was prepared to torture them. If the first floor of the basement had 3 rooms and a living room, then the second floor would be a villa, and the third floor would be a manor. Whether it was the decoration or the setting, they were all top-notch. Even the red wine worth tens of thousands on the third floor of the basement could be freely drunk. However, the third floor of the basement was indeed rather deserted, because the people here were basically all worth tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions. However, Linen City only had one famous casino, and basically all the people who liked to gamble would be here. There were also quite a few rich people, so there were quite a lot of people on the third floor of the basement. Young Master Lin? Lin Xian and Linglong Shui had just entered when they bumped into a familiar face. Zhang Tian. Zhang Tian ran over happily, then hugged Lin Xian and patted his back. Why are you here to play too? Lin Xian smiled. I'm just here for a stroll. Why? Are you here to gamble too? Zhang Tian smiled. I'm just here to play with my friends. After all, we're in a new city and need to get used to it. He looked at Linglong Shui. There was a sense of familiarity, but she was too beautiful. To be honest, Lin Xian didn't admire Lin Xian much, but his skill in picking up girls was something he looked up to his entire life. Lin Xian was surrounded by top-notch beauties, and now there was one more, who was so exquisite, really invincible. Oh, my wife. Lin Xian said casually. Linglong Shui. If you talk nonsense again, I'll tear your mouth apart. Linglong Shui sent a fierce telepathic message to Lin Xian. She was giving Lin Xian face by sending a telepathic message without saying it out loud. This was really in line with the image of a little wife. Cough cough, you're awesome. Zhang Tian secretly gave Lin Xian a thumbs up, then said, I'm Zhang Tian, young Master Lin's friend. Linglong Shui nodded slightly. Young Master Zhang, what's going on? Zhang Tian's friends were holding glasses of red wine, and some of them were hugging their girlfriends as they walked over. They all looked at Linglong Shui and swallowed their saliva. Especially the young master hugging his girlfriend. He silently looked at his girlfriend in his arms. He thought she was pretty before, but why did she look so ordinary now? Let me introduce you. This is young Master Lin, my friend. This is young Master Lin's girlfriend. Zhang Tian smiled and introduced them. Damn! Young Master Lin, your girlfriend is pretty. I'll make friends with you. My name is Huang Kai. Lin Xian. So they made friends based on whether the other party's girlfriend was pretty or not. That's quite something. Linglong Shui was also helpless. Since they said that, she couldn't be bothered. She also didn't want to embarrass Lin Xian. Anyway, it was fine as long as she knew she wasn't. Then, Huang Kai moved to Lin Xian's side and asked in a low voice, Brother, does your girlfriend have any girlfriends or something like that? Introduce them. Lin Xian looked at him. Yes. Huang Kai's eyes lit up. Wow, for a beauty of this level, her girlfriends must be of this level too. Then introduce them. Huang Kai chuckled. Lin Xian then said calmly, her girlfriends are also mine. They're all mine. Huang Kai. Chapter 619. Wait, what does he mean by her best friend is also his? We're all men. Who wouldn't want to cheat on their girlfriend's best friend? But it's fine to just think about it in your heart. But if you say it out loud, won't it be a bit too strong? Best friend. What's Linglong Shui's realm? Of course, she can hear Lin Xian's words. She didn't understand the meaning of best friend before. But after living in the human world, she understood. It means that Bing Lingyue is her best friend. She also knows other people such as Ling Ying and Lin Ya. But they can't be considered as best friends. What did Lin Xian say just now? He said she's his wife, of course. Linglong Shui ignored it. But what did he say? Her best friend is also his wife. So this bastard not only has eyes on me, but also Bing Lingyue? But thinking about it, Bing Lingyue's temperament and appearance are not inferior to mine. And this Lin Xian is the representative of bad men. It's normal for him to like Bing Lingyue. This is what a man is like. Ding! Felt Linglong Shui's displeasure. Adonis points plus 500000. The sudden system notification made Lin Xian stunned. Then he thought of something. Damn, I'm chasing one now. I can't show anything else, it's fine if I catch up. Then Lin Xian quickly said, I'm joking, just joking. Zhang Tian has known Lin Xian for a long time. Why does he feel that Lin Xian is not joking? Then young Master Lin, we won't disturb you. You can play with sister-in-law. Zhang Tian smiled and said, they can play together. But after thinking about it, it's just the two of them. Obviously they want to play alone. So he won't disturb them. All right. Zhang Tian suddenly thought of something, and then whispered to Lin Xian. When you're on the third basement floor, you must pay attention to whether or not you're a member of the Meneo Casino. This casino has an unspoken rule, and it's impossible for them to lose money. They might even have their own people disguise themselves as gamblers to win money. The third basement floor has a lot of winnings, so young Master Lin, you must pay attention and be careful of cheating. Lin Xian nodded. Thank you. It's fine. We'll go play then. Let's have a meal together when we're free. After that, Zhang Tian and the others walked away. What is cheating? Linglong Shui heard another word that she had never heard before. Cheating, that's cheating. You can even cheat. She frowned. Then let me ask you, with your ability, can you easily know the size of the sieve in the sieve cylinder? Or even change it to any size? Sure. Linglong Shui said frankly. Then others can do it too. Linglong Shui. Naive, she was too naive. You humans really have despicable means. Lin Xian. Hey, you're attacking too many people. You're one of them. Lin Xian. Then you demons don't have despicable means. Lin Xian's soul interrogated. Linglong Shui said, yes, that's human nature, but you humans have the most tricks. Lin Xian admitted this point. The tricks and scams of humans were so numerous that it was impossible to guard against them. Even a small phone call or an advertisement could be a scam. Then do you still want to play? Linglong Shui didn't care if she played or not. But she still wanted to play to her heart's content. Play, why wouldn't we play? If we don't play, there will be people coming to play with us. See, aren't we here now? Lin Xian's lips curled up as he looked at a man who was holding a glass of red wine and walking over with a gentlemanly smile. And Mingho swirled his glass of red wine as he looked at Lin Xian and Ling Longshui. He already felt that she was very beautiful on the surveillance camera. He didn't expect to see this woman up close. He couldn't take it anymore. This woman must be his. The two of you haven't been here for a long time. Why don't you play a few rounds? I'm in Mingho, the CEO of the incorporation. When I'm free, I like to come to this casino with my friends. It doesn't matter if I win or lose, I can make friends. It's pretty good. And Mingho said with a smile. Very few people knew that he was the boss behind the Menao Casino. Even in the Menao Casino, only the founding members, or those who were absolutely trusted, knew about this. Young master, and you're happy to lose money? Lin Xian asked with a smile. And Mingho said, how much money can I lose? Even if it's 100 million, it's only the company's turnover for 1 or 2 days, right? And Mingho purposely said this for Ling Longshui to hear. He wanted her to know how rich his family was. Young master is indeed rich. We're different. Our entire family only has 1 or 200 million. If we lose everything, we'll have nothing left. Our wife might even run away. Lin Xian purposely said with a smile as he hugged Ling Longshui. Ling Longshui. So angry. Why is this bastard so good at taking things to heart? When did I agree to this bastard hugging me? Why is this bastard so natural when he touches me? Ding. Sensing Ling Longyu's extreme displeasure, Adonis points plus 1 million. That's right. Ling Longyu played a few rounds and turned around to see this scene. Ah. So angry. Lin Xian also knew when to stop. After hugging her for a few seconds, he was satisfied and retracted his hand. And Mingho's eyes flashed when he saw this. Why? Why can someone with only a few 100 million find a girlfriend of this level? He can't even find one with tens of billions of assets. No, he can't meet one. Never met one. Was it fate? That was the only explanation he could think of. If he were to meet such a beauty, she would definitely be his. However, even if he was played, he didn't feel like he lost anything. At most, she could be his lover. It was a pleasure to see such a beauty every day. And Mingho then smiled. That's why casinos are interesting. Especially the third level. If you bring 100 million here, you can bring 1 billion back, right? And Mingho began to bewitch Lin Xian. Lin Xian obviously knew what he was thinking. He came here to beat in Mingho at his own game. You want to lose money, right? That's fine, you can lose. Now you want to win everything, right? Sorry, you still have to lose. Lin Xian pondered for a moment. That makes sense. Also, we're very lucky tonight. We won tens of millions in a row. I think tonight should be a lucky night. Young master, are you sure you still want to bet with us? And Mingho laughed in his heart. Idiot. Idiot. He was the one who made people lose on purpose. What AF asterisk king idiot. Then he smiled. Why not? I just like challenges. Since you said that you won so much tonight, I really don't believe it. Lin Xian smiled. Alright, let's do it then. Let's make it simple. How about big or small? I'll let my wife play. Chapter 620. When Mingho heard Lin Xian's words, he sneered in his heart. Did he really think that his winning streak was due to luck? Luck was also dependent on probability. You couldn't win tens of millions with this kind of luck. It turned out that they were a pair of idiots. Then it would be too easy to trick them. Can I play? Ling Longshui asked Lin Xian. Of course. Tonight is all your luck. You'll definitely play. Good luck. Okay. Then, Ling Longshui took her 30 million chips and sat across from Mingho. A beautiful dealer walked over with a smile. Because of Ling Longshui's appearance and temperament, many people couldn't help but rush over to watch their bet. How should I address you, brother? My surname is Lin. So it's Young Master Lin. Then I have something to tell Young Master Lin. For the bets on the 3rd floor of the basement, solo bets like ours can't be less than 5 million. And Mingho said. Lin Xian said casually 10 million. And Mingho was slightly stunned, then laughed in his heart. He was the one who wanted to lose so quickly. Then it wasn't his fault. Okay. Since we're guessing big or small, then 10 million per round. Young Master Lin, you can choose first in the first round. If you choose big, then I'll choose small. It'll be my turn for the second round, and you for the third round. It'll be fair like this. What do you think? Lin Xian nodded. Sure. But tell my wife that she's the one who's betting with you. And Mingho looked at Ling Longshui. She was obviously a newbie. The corner of his mouth curled up slightly. Sure, it's just guessing big or small. It's purely a gamble of luck. Then let's begin. Lin Xian said to Ling Longshui. Play as you wish. Ling Longshui nodded and pushed 10 million chips onto the table. Big. Lin Xian couldn't help but laugh. Why did this girl like to bet on big? Could it be that he liked big ones? More and more people gathered around them. To be honest, there were almost no solo guessing games on the third basement floor. There was simply no skill involved. There was no psychological aspect to it. Only a group of people would guess who was big or small. But since they were on the third basement floor, they rarely played this game. But because of Ling Longshui, many people gathered around. Ling Longyue and Bing Lingyue also came over. As they were in the crowd, they were not easily noticed. Then I'll be little. And Mingho placed 10 million chips on the table, and the beautiful dealer opened the sieve. 456 big. Ling Longshui's beautiful eyes lit up. He won just like that. Young Masterin, it seems like your luck isn't too good tonight. Lin Xian smiled as he looked at Mingho, and Mingho said, Don't be in such a hurry. It's gambling. The first to win is paper, and the last to win is money. That makes sense. Wife, let's win more paper back. Lin Xian smiled at Ling Longshui. When Ling Longyue and Bing Lingyue heard how Lin Xian addressed Ling Longshui, both of them were stunned. Wife, he already addressed her that way. Sister Bing, did you hear that? Did you hear that? This big bad guy is already calling my sister that way. Ling Longyue was anxious. Could it be that the two of them had really confirmed their relationship? Bing Lingyue was also stunned. It seemed a little strange. And Ling Longshui didn't seem to have much of a reaction. Was she used to it? Or did she accept it? No, or was she ignoring it? Both were possible. Don't be anxious. Everything you see may not be true. After all, she was an empress. She was very calm, and had seen through many things. Now to Bing Lingyue, nothing was important. Simplicity was the best. There was a memory in the bottom of her heart. It seemed like she had lost her memory, but it seemed like it had always been there. She could always dream of something, but when she woke up, she would forget everything. Sometimes she would wake up with tears. Sometimes she would wake up with a happy smile. She wanted to know too. She really wanted to know, but she didn't know. Oh, Ling Longyue pouted her lips. She was just angry. Firstly, she thought that her sister was so outstanding and noble. If that bad guy Lin Xian took advantage of her, she would die of anger. Secondly, seeing their relationship getting better and better, to the point where they even addressed each other intimately, she didn't feel good. Anyway, she was very conflicted. And Mingho smiled and said, It's my turn to choose this round. Of course. Then I'll choose big too. And Mingho pushed in 10 million chips. Ling Longshui could only choose small. This round was worth 10 million. This was simply too awesome. If this round did not include chatting, it would probably end in less than a minute. If this round was played for an hour, and if he was unlucky, how much would he lose? The final result was 111. Small. And Mingho pretended to frown and seemed to be deep in thought. Lin Xian also pretended to be smug. Young Masterin, do you still want to play? Your luck seems to be bad tonight. Yes. Let's continue. And Mingho said. Then, Ling Longshui pushed 10 million chips into her big again. The result was 633 big. Another 10 million entered her account. Ling Longshui didn't have much concept of money, but seeing more and more chips in front of her, she felt quite satisfied. What's going on, young Masterin? How can you lose 3 rounds in a row? Lin Xian pretended to be sarcastic, giving Mingho a smug look as if he, Lin Xian, was very smug. And that was exactly what Mingho wanted. He had lost on purpose. Don't worry, it's just the beginning. And Mingho then placed 10 million chips into small. This time, he finally won 10 million. However, in the next 8 rounds, he lost another 8 rounds in a row. His expression became ugly. Young Master Lin, you're not cheating, are you? And Mingho frowned and looked at Lin Xian, pretending to be so. Many people felt that it seemed to be the case. Even if his luck was bad, it couldn't be so bad that he lost 10 out of 11 rounds, right? This was a game of luck, not a game of skill. Wasn't this 1:2 abnormal? Lin Xian laughed. Young master, I already said that my luck today was really too good. My wife is the chosen one. Also, how could young master say something like cheating? From the beginning to the end, my wife and I sat here without moving at all. We didn't touch the sieve at all. It was the beautiful dealer in this casino who shook it. How could we cheat? Lin Xian pretended to be very arrogant after winning money. This was also what An Mingho wanted to see. This was also the reason why he deliberately lost 10 rounds to let them become arrogant first. Whether it was cheating or the serious and worried look on his face, it was all done on purpose for the later plan. It had to be said that these people's hearts were very dirty. Logically speaking, if he won 10 million, how could the other party win back all his money if they didn't have the upper hand? Then he could only use this method. Chapter 621. An Mingho had a serious look on his face. What's wrong? Young master, you're not playing anymore? That's right, you've already lost 100 million. Forget it, I'll find someone else to play with. Young master's luck doesn't seem to be too good today. Lin Xian smiled. Zhang Tian and the rest had also come over early to watch. They felt that it was indeed amazing. This luck was something. Of course, if he left, how could he enjoy himself to the fullest? It's only been 20 minutes. Young Master Lin, what do you think? Of course, as long as young Master wants to play, we'll play with you to the end tonight. Lin Xian said this on purpose. And Mingho said, alright, how about this? How about 100 million each round? Gasp. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Wasn't that too much? Wasn't that too crazy? Lin Xian fell into deep thought. Of course, he did it on purpose. 100 million. Young master, isn't that a little too much? Lin Xian said. And Mingho shrugged and said, I've already lost 100 million. If we play 10 million each round, I feel like I won't be able to break even with my luck tonight, let alone win against you guys. Then let's gamble. Either I lose more, or I win back. What's wrong? Is young Master Lin not confident in your luck? Lin Xian was secretly impressed by An Mingho's words. This An Mingho seemed to be more capable than that Liao Jian. Lin Xian looked like he was hooked. He patted Ling Longshue's shoulder and said, let's continue. Ling Longshue nodded. An Mingho laughed in his heart. He had lost on purpose. He wanted them to keep winning, so that they would become arrogant. Then, he would have the chance to increase the bet by 10 times, which was 100 million each round. To be honest, if they played 10 million each round, they would probably quit after losing 100 million. But 100 million each round? Losing 100 million in one round was different from losing 100 million in 10 rounds. Things would continue as normal. After all, he was the owner of a casino. He had a good understanding of gamblers, normal people's psychology. There were more and more people around them. 100 million each round. In all these years in this casino, there hadn't been many bets like this. 10 million should be the limit. After all, this wasn't a top city like Tiandu. And Mingho saw that they took the bait. The money was his. The women had to be his too. When he lost all his money, would the woman still follow him? Then I'll bet this round. And Mingho said, sure. Where's the chips? Lin Xian asked with a smile, looking extremely arrogant. And Mingho handed him a card. Give me 300 million in chips. Then, he looked at Lin Xian and asked, young Master Lin, are you not exchanging? Don't worry, I've won 100 million from you. We'll talk about it after we lose, but I don't think we'll lose. And Mingho snorted coldly, then pushed the 100 million chips into the large prize pool. Ling Longshui also put hers into the small prize pool. And Mingho was pretending to change the dealer. He thought that they were cheating, so he changed the dealer. If he wanted to put on a show, he had to put on a show to make them lower their guard and let them think that he cared. That would be enough. Clearly, in Mingho's eyes, his plan had succeeded. The main reason was that Lin Xian had cooperated well with his act. The show had just begun. And Mingho laughed. Gambling, there are winners and losers. But I don't think we can always lose. Then let's wait and see. I have a feeling that my wife can win. Wife, your head. Linglong Yu heard how Lin Xian addressed Linglong Shui, and grumbled unhappily. Meanwhile, the system notifications in Lin Xian's mind were exploding. He knew that Linglong Yu was beside him, but he pretended not to know. Otherwise, wouldn't all these Adonis points go to waste? Open it. And Mingho rubbed his chin, and stared at the gambling table with a look of concern. Then, the beautiful dealer slowly opened the sieve tube, and Linglong Shui's beautiful eyes stared at it with concern. 134 small. Gasp. The surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. They lost 100 million just like that. More importantly, why did they still win? This was also in Mingho's arrangement. This was the first 100 million bet in this round. He didn't want to let himself win, and let the other party win again. He wanted them to think that they could still win 100 million, and let their guard down again. Only then would he be able to take them all down. Young Masterin, are you still playing? You've lost 100 million this round. You've lost quite a lot. Lin Xian laughed. Of course I'm playing. I don't believe in this. Let's continue. And Mingho pretended to be in a state of qi deviation. Alright, let's continue. Wife, you're in charge. Lin Xian laughed. Linglong Shui then pushed the 100 million chips into the large prize pool. And Mingho then placed his chips in the small prize pool. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the sieve cylinder. The sieve cylinder opened. 133 small. Ha ha ha, looks like your luck won't last long. And Mingho laughed as he pulled the chips in front of him. Lin Xian smiled. Don't worry, I'm still winning anyway. There's no need to worry. Let's continue. In the next round, Lin Xian lost again. I think I've won back everything I lost in these 2 rounds. And Mingho laughed. Lin Xian pretended to be serious. Go, help me exchange 500 million chips. Gasp. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Were they crazy? 500 million? Is this all of young Master Lin's money? And Mingho laughed. Don't worry, take it slow. With the 500 million chips in his account, the gambling began again. 10 minutes later, in front of Lin Xian, he had lost all 500 million yuan. And Mingho had a good grasp of the rhythm. He didn't let Lin Xian and Linglong Shui keep losing. There were wins and losses, but there were more losses. As they played, they lost all their money. Linglong Shui frowned slightly, but Lin Xian was going with the flow, and playing a bigger game. Young Master Lin, what goes around comes around. Do you still want to play? And Mingho laughed. He had already won 500 million. Let's continue. Lin Xian shouted angrily, then said, help me exchange another 1 billion. And Mingho raised his eyebrows. Lin Xian then stared at Mingho and said, the next round is 500 million. Do you want to play? Everyone. Crazy. He's crazy. What AF asterisk King Wastrel. Come on. You allowed me to increase the stakes from 10 million to 100 million. How can I not allow you to increase the stakes from 100 million to 500 million? Looks like young Master Lin wants to win it all back. Then I'll play with you to the end. Lin Xian said, 1 billion. My entire fortune. I don't believe I can't win with that. Wife, I'm counting on you. Linglong Shui roughly understood what Lin Xian meant. Then, she placed the 1 billion chips in front of Lin Xian. Big. Linglong Shui directly placed 500 million in the bet. Then I'll be small. And Mingho chuckled. If he won this 1 billion, his plan would be a success. Chapter 622. The beautiful dealer quickly shook the sieve cylinder, and the crisp sound of the sieve could be heard. Some people were so powerful that they didn't even need to release any special powers. They could simply shake the sieve to the size they wanted. In any case, the people in the Menao casino were definitely capable of this. Since the bet had reached 500 million, and Mingho naturally wouldn't allow himself to lose. Therefore, the number of points in the sieve tube was definitely small. That's right, when he picked up the cylinder, it was indeed small. He lost 500 million in one go. Ha ha ha, young Master Lin, what goes around comes around. Do you still want to play? There was only 500 million left. If he continued playing, He would be completely bankrupt. Lin Xian gritted his teeth. 1 billion. Do you still want to play? Everyone. What was going on? And Mingho was also taken aback. 1 billion? Was he crazy? Of course I don't mind. But young Master Lin just said that this 1 billion is all your assets. Now that you've lost 500 million, you only have 500 million left. How are you going to play this 1 billion bet with me? It's simple. Give me 1 minute. I'll go get a loan. I want to win back all my losses in one round, and at the same time win young Master N's money. Lin Xian then walked away with his phone. Although Linglong Shui didn't quite understand what Lin Xian wanted to do, she knew that Lin Xian definitely wouldn't let her lose money. He must be plotting something. It didn't matter if she lost money now. She wasn't worried. Lin Xian went out to make a call just to put on an act. Soon, he came back with 500 million in chips. And Mingho wanted to play big, so that he could win more money from Lin Xian. On the other hand, Lin Xian wanted to play bigger, so that he could win more money. 1 billion. Begin. Lin Xian placed the 500 million in chips in front of Linglong Shui. And Mingho's lips curled. Okay, then it's my turn to choose first. And Mingho pushed in 1 billion in chips. He wasn't worried anyway. You choose. And Mingho said, 1 billion big. Linglong Shui pushed her way in as well. Small. Following which, the beautiful dealer quickly shook the sieve cylinder. And Mingho's lips curled into a smile. This round was over. Everyone held their breaths. What the F*** CK? 2 billion for one round? This kind of huge gamble had never happened before in the history of Meneo Casino. And Mingho exchanged a glance with the beautiful dealer. Young Master Lin, this round adds up to 2 billion. If you lose, you'll lose everything. And Mingho mocked. At this point, there was no need for him to hide his expression. In this round, everything was over. I'm guessing that I'll definitely win this round. After all, we've lost a lot in a row. It's time for us to win, isn't it, wife? Lin Xian asked Linglong Shui with a smile. And Mingho frowned. Something wasn't right. Logically speaking, he had already lost more than 500 million. This was a life and death gamble. He should be very nervous. However, he looked so relaxed, and was even joking with his wife. This shouldn't be happening. Did he really think that he would win? Luck. How was that possible? However, he didn't panic. This was his territory. He could easily control the situation perfectly. Did he need to worry? If young Master Lin bet everything on luck, then it's really hard to say. Lin Xian looked at him with a smile and said, Didn't young Master N bet on luck just now? Wasn't it luck? And Mingho coughed dryly and nodded. Of course, but luck is something that no one can say for sure. The spectators were even more nervous than Lin Xian and the rest. This gamble was too satisfying. No, it was mainly because this Lin Xian was too reckless. He still dared to bet 1 billion? What a pity. Although these people admired him, they felt that he shouldn't have done so. They felt that he was done for. What a pity for such a beautiful woman. Open it. And Mingho didn't want to drag it out any longer. It was time to end it. Then the beautiful dealer opened the sieve tube. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the sieve tube. 111 small. What? When Mingho saw the number, he stood up in disbelief. Small. How could it be small? He had clearly bet on big. His person should have gotten big. How could it be small? This was impossible. This was impossible. Aya, looks like I made the right bet. My wife, you're amazing. Lin Xian wanted to kiss Linglong Shui's little face, but he didn't have the courage. Linglong Shui's expression was calm. It was as if she hadn't done anything. She was very, very calm. Young Master N, in this round, I seem to have won back everything I lost. I even won close to 500 million more than you. That's why sometimes, you have to believe in things like luck. What do you think? You also made a comeback after losing hundreds of millions. It's a pity that the bet this time was too big, and I won it back in one round. Lin Xian looked at Mingho with a smile. Impossible. Impossible. And Mingho was still in disbelief. What's impossible? Isn't it normal to win or lose in a game of luck? Why would young Master N think that it's impossible? Could it be that you were certain that you would win? But being certain that you would win can only be done by cheating. Could it be that young master? And Lin Xian looked at him mockingly. And Mingho came back to his senses and coughed dryly. It's nothing. I just thought that my luck was quite good. It wasn't right for me to lose. But as young master Lin said, in a game of luck, victory or defeat depends on the heavens. It's normal to win or lose. After An Mingho finished speaking, he glanced at the beautiful dealer. The dealer trembled. And Mingho could tell that it was definitely not his people's fault. It had to be one of the two people in front of him. But was he afraid? Of course not. Again. Lin Xian smirked. Of course. Again 1 billion. And Mingho said with a gloomy expression. Everyone felt like they were about to flip the sky. Lin Xian was also overjoyed. In the previous round, it was naturally big, but Ling Longshui could easily make it small. If she, a great void stage martial artist, could not do it, then it would be a joke. Moreover, no one would be able to discover it. Ling Longshui directly pushed 1 billion into the small prize pool. Small. Ling Longshui said calmly. Big. And Mingho said in a low voice. Then, the beautiful dealer quickly shook the dice and turned it into 456. And Mingho used his divine sense to check it. It was indeed big. Then he looked at Lin Xian. Open it. Lin Xian said casually. And Mingho used his divine sense to check the number in the dice cylinder again. It was still 456, but at this time, it turned into 233. And Mingho smirked. He knew it was his opponent's doing. Then he tried to use his power to increase the number of points again. But he revealed a shocked expression. It was useless. Chapter 623. Logically speaking, with his strength, he should be able to easily change the 3 dice into any number he wanted. This was the unspoken rule of the casino. As long as the dealer wanted to win, they had many ways. The dealer was the dealer, and the casino's strongest expert was the dealer. But why was he unable to change the dice into the number he wanted? It was simple. How could his divine sense compare to Ling Longshui's? Ling Longshui could casually envelop him with her divine sense, and he was unable to do anything. Wait, and Mingho hurriedly said as the dice were about to be opened. If he lost this round, he would lose more than 5 billion. That was half a year's profit for the entire casino. His company didn't rely on the casino to make a profit, but he couldn't lose this round, right? Oh, is something the matter, young masterin? Lin Xian asked teasingly. Lin Xian obviously knew that An Mingho was aware that they were also manipulating the dice, so they had to compete to see who was better. With so many people watching, he couldn't act shamelessly unless the casino didn't want to continue operating. Open it quickly, someone said impatiently, and Mingho coughed dryly and said, This young master needs to pee, so I'll go to the toilet first. After that I'll open it. Then I'll drink a glass of red wine and wait for young masterin. Lin Xian said confidently. With Ling Longshui around, Lin Xian didn't have to worry about anything. Previously, winning or losing didn't matter as it depended on the other party. But now Lin Xian and company had a chance to make a comeback. Unless what? Unless they could produce an existence stronger than Ling Longshui. But what would it take to be stronger than Ling Longshui? Heavenly Dao Realm. That's right, it was the Heavenly Dao Realm. However, it was impossible for them to produce a Heavenly Dao Realm expert. And Mingho knew that the other party didn't know if the man or the beauty was manipulating the dice. But he knew that he couldn't beat them. So he had to invite an expert. Lin Xian sat at the side with his legs crossed, eating desserts and drinking red wine leisurely. Ling Longyue was still hiding at the side, not wanting them to see her. Lin Xian knew, but Ling Longshui didn't. She also didn't like to look around, so she just sat there quietly. And Mingho naturally didn't go to the toilet. He returned after making a phone call. But before he returned, an old man wearing relatively ordinary clothes silently walked into the crowd to watch. His appearance didn't attract anyone's attention, of course, other than Lin Xian and Ling Longshui. Both of them were well aware of why An Mingho had disappeared. Unfortunately, they didn't panic. And Mingho walked over while wiping his hands. Sorry to keep you waiting. And Mingho's expression relaxed because he was no longer panicking. He went to the casino, And he was also an expert from the Yin clan. He was a domain realm existence. He was one of the most powerful Grand Dominion realm cultivators on the continent. How could a Grand Dominion realm cultivator lose to two young men who looked to be in their 20s? Of course he could win. Can we open it now? Lin Xian asked with a smile. And Mingho casually glanced at the expert from the Yin clan. But he saw that the old man's brows were tightly furrowed. What was going on? The first thing that the old man did was to change the number in the sieve to big. But he realized that he couldn't do it. How was this possible? He shook his head slightly at Mingho. And Mingho also understood what he meant. And the indifferent expression on his face turned ashen once again. Even a Grand Dominion realm expert couldn't do it? How was this possible? And Mingho gritted his teeth and didn't answer. At this moment he realized something. He had fallen into a trap. From the beginning to the end, he had always thought that he was tricking them. But now he realized that wasn't the case. He had fallen into their trap step by step. F***ck. What could he do? Stop gambling? That's impossible. There are so many people around. Lin Xian saw that Mingho was conflicted, and the corner of his mouth curled up. Then he looked at the beautiful dealer and said, "Open it." The beautiful dealer looked at Mingho. She didn't dare to open it without his order. "Open it. What are you waiting for? Open it and see the result. You haven't opened it yet. What are you hesitating for? Are you a sore loser?" The surrounding people all agreed. "It's fine if you go to the toilet, but why aren't you opening it? What are you doing?" And Mingho nodded with a dark expression. There was still a way. If he lost, he lost. But he could send out experts to stop them. He might be alive to win the money, but would he be alive to take it away? To be honest, no one believed that there was an expert surpassing the Grand Dominion realm here. But why was the Grand Dominion realm's divine sense weaker than the other parties? There were many ways to change the number in the sieve, and it didn't necessarily mean that the strong could do whatever they wanted. Could there be other ways? In any case, and Mingho saw the age of these experts. These experts, Grand Dominion realm, Heavenly Venerable realm, and geniuses were all middle-aged, but there weren't any. So he didn't panic. There was still a backup plan. Then the beautiful dealer opened the sieve. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the sieve. 123 small. Seeing the result, the crowd actually cheered for some reason. And Mingho and the others' expressions were extremely ugly. Lin Xian directly put away all the chips. "Young master, and you've lost one. 5 billion, that's more than that. Do you still want to play?" Lin Xian asked with a smile. It was heart-wrenching. Not to mention 5 billion, even 10 million was not a small number. From the beginning to the end, and Mingho felt that he was a fool. He had set a trap from the second floor, and deliberately lost money to lure them to the third floor, then lost again. He thought that everything was going according to plan, but he didn't expect that the other party would beat him at his own game, and make him lose 5 billion. Damn it! I'm not playing anymore. And Mingho snorted coldly, and walked away angrily. How could he play at this time? To him, this man had to be killed. This woman could only be snatched away by force, and then snatch back the money. Naturally, he couldn't do it in the casino, but he could do it outside. As long as they walked out of the casino, his men would follow and snatch the money back. Linglong Shui stood up and looked at Lin Xian. Her meaning was clear. Lin Xian couldn't help but laugh. Okay. You won, I'll give it to you. Lin Xian smiled, and gave all the chips to Linglong Shui. Linglong Shui thought for a moment, then gave half of it to Lin Xian and said, "You're part of the reason too. I'll give you half." Half of it was 7 or 8 billion. She didn't care about the amount of money anyway. So Lin Xian didn't hold back. "Do you still want to play? If not, let's go," Lin Xian said to Linglong Shui. Linglong Shui was almost done playing. She nodded and walked out with Lin Xian. Linglong Yue hurriedly dodged, and pulled Bing Lingyue along as they followed behind. "Where do we play next?" Linglong Shui asked expectantly. Chapter 624. Previously she rejected it, but after coming out with Lin Xian, she realized that it was quite interesting. She could even win money. Lin Xian asked, What do you want to play? Ling Longshui shook her head. Then let's go watch a movie. Ling Longshui frowned. Watch a movie? What's so fun about watching a movie? Ling Longshui didn't understand. She had watched a movie before. She had watched it a few times. The first 2 times were quite interesting. But now, she didn't feel that watching a movie was particularly fun. She preferred those things that she had never played before. Of course, there was nothing fun about watching a movie. But that kind of environment was suitable for Lin Xian to use his hands. Lin Xian and Ling Longshui came out for a date. Of course, he had to make her happy. But Lin Xian didn't forget his main goal: to win Ling Longshui's heart. Lin Xian obviously didn't think that watching a movie would win him over. But bringing her to watch a romantic movie, a touching movie, would help stimulate Ling Longshui's female hormones. Hee. As the 2 of them walked out of the casino, Lin Xian said to Ling Longshui, "There seems to be a very popular teen drama released recently. Previously, it was the first teen drama that grossed over 2 billion at the box office. This is the second one. I think you will like it." Okay. Ling Longshui came out with Lin Xian tonight anyway. She naturally listened to Lin Xian. Since it was Lin Xian's suggestion, she felt that it shouldn't be a problem. At this moment, Ling Longyu and Bing Lingyue were following them from afar. "Sister Bing, why do you think Lin Xian can hug my sister's waist?" Ling Longyu was still thinking about it. She was especially unhappy. They must be acting. Look, they haven't even held hands yet, have they? Bing Lingyue smiled. Oh, but my sister has never been touched by any man before. Even touching her hand is impossible. Ling Longyu bit her lips. Why? Are you jealous? How is this possible? Why would I be jealous? I'm just worried that bad guy will take advantage of you. Ling Longyue quickly stuttered. Bing Lingyue could see the situation more clearly than the 2 of them. As the saying goes, the onlooker sees the game more clearly than the onlooker. This saying was very reasonable. Then you don't like it at all? Bing Lingyue smiled and asked. Me? Like Lin Xian? How is that possible? Ling Longyue quickly shook her head and avoided his gaze. She didn't like it? She did not know. Perhaps she did not understand the feeling of liking someone. However, favorability could explain a lot of things. If the favorability was close to 50, it meant that he liked her. But it hadn't reached the level of love. If you like her, you don't have to worry about anything. Just say it out loud. Even if you don't like her or hate her, you can say it out loud. Do you have any scruples? Ling Longyue shook her head. No. Suddenly, she thought of something and hurriedly said, I didn't like him in the first place, so I don't have to worry about anything. I won't like that big bad guy. You're so bad. Whoever likes him is an idiot. Bing Lingyue was speechless. This girl was still arrogant. Someone is following us. Bing Lingyue frowned and turned her head. A few figures happened to pass by. Are they looking for us? Ling Longyue blinked her big eyes and asked. They should be looking for Lin Xian. Although I don't know much, they won so much money from them. How could they let them go so easily? Isn't that courting death? Ling Longyue said. Bing Lingyue smiled. They are courting death, but they don't know it. At this moment, Lin Xian and Ling Longshui were walking on the road. At this time there were quite a lot of people. Hence, the people who followed them were looking at them from afar, waiting for an opportunity. Although Ling Longshui did not release her divine sense, she faintly felt that something was wrong. This was the intuition of a top expert. Then, she tried to release her divine sense, and found Ling Longyue and the others. At the same time, she also found the people who followed them from the casino. Someone is following us, Ling Longshui said lightly. Lin Xian smiled and said, Of course I don't need you to tell me. How do you know? Ling Longshui was slightly surprised and asked. Was his divine sense stronger than hers? It was impossible. You don't understand. Let me explain to you some things about our human world. Then Lin Xian said with an unfathomable look. For example, when we win in the casino, it doesn't matter if we win a little. It doesn't matter if we win from others. However, the people we win from are from the casino. In other words, we won from the casino. In this case, how could they let us take the money away so easily? Moreover, it's such a large sum of money. They definitely can't do anything in the casino, because once others know, it means that no one will go to the casino. So, without thinking, they will definitely send someone to kill me and take the money away. Then why didn't they kill me? Lin Xian smiled and said, "Are you stupid? Why do you think they deliberately lost money to me in the beginning? It was to lure us to the third floor to lose more money. Their goal was not to earn money from me, but for you, my beautiful wife." Ling Longshui frowned and whispered, "In a place with many people, I can indulge you. But in a place with no one, if you say it again, I will kill you." Lin Xian shrugged his shoulders. She was fierce, but he was not afraid, because the current Ling Longshui could not kill him. At the same time, she was smart enough not to ask anymore, because she had almost guessed everything. Ling Yu and Yu Er are following behind. Ling Longshui then said faintly, "Ah, really? What are they doing here? Then let's get rid of them. We can't let them disturb our date." Lin Xian pretended not to know. "Up to you. Let's go. The people behind us are waiting for us to go to a secluded place. Then let's do as they wish." Then, the two of them went to a secluded road, surrounded by green belts. However, there were very few people in this place, and there were also very few houses. It was a newly built urban area. Some people bought houses here, but they didn't live here because it was too secluded. Only some cars would pass by, but the greenery was really done well. The two of them bought a little bit of food on the way and sat on the lawn, looking very sweet. In the distance, Bing Lingyue was very helpless. Ling Longyu had dragged her all the way here, and then she looked at them from afar. "Sister Bing, do you think they will kiss in such a secluded place?" Bing Lingyue was speechless. What was this girl thinking in her head? They are waiting for someone. Chapter 625. Bing Lingyue knew that since they were waiting for someone, the two of them must have been discovered by Ling Longshui. However, she did not tell Ling Longshui. Since Ling Longshui and the others did not expose her, she would let the girl continue to think that she was secretly following them. In any case, she quite liked it this way. Moreover, if she was exposed, she would probably be embarrassed. Anyway, Bing Lingyue followed the girl here. If she felt something else, it seemed quite interesting. At this moment, An Minghe led a group of 5 people and followed Lin Xian to this side. Among the 5 people, one was the old man just now, and the other 4 were the family's law realm experts. To be honest, for a city like this to be able to produce a domain realm expert and a few law realm experts, it was really something. "Young master, these 2 might not be simple. My divine sense power did not change the sieve and the sieve cylinder at that time. This means that one of them has a stronger divine sense than me. I think we should discuss it another day." The old man looked at An Minghe worriedly. "Uncle Fu, how old do you think they are?" An Minghe looked at him and asked. "They should be around 25 years old," said Uncle Fu. "Then, do you think that 25 years old people can reach a realm stronger than 10 stars of your domain realm?" Uncle Fu fell into deep thought. Logically speaking, it's impossible because that's the heavenly venerate realm. Even if they don't farm by themselves, they would need a lot of manpower and resources to catch demonic beasts for them to level up. Before the heavenly venerate realm, no, before the domain realm, this is quite easy to achieve. However, after reaching the domain realm, it's almost impossible to achieve this through this method, said Uncle Fu. Isn't that right? They can't be at that realm. Then what are we afraid of? Moreover, changing the sieve cylinder's sieve points can not only be done by using mental power. There are other aspects. What if they are just using other aspects and Uncle Fu happens to be weaker than you? This is very likely. We have a domain realm expert and 4 law realm experts. Are we afraid of 2 people in their 20s? To be honest, normal people would think this way. But some families in Tiandu have people who can reach the domain realm, and even the law realm before the age of 30. Do you think they are from Tiandu? And Minghe smiled disdainfully. Although I don't know the full name of that surnamed Lin. Is there a Lin family among the 8 great families of Tiandu? Moreover, he looked like a country bumpkin. His clothes were all branded and worthless. He also said that his family only had a few 100 million. Later on, The 500 million he borrowed was from a phone loan. I saw all of this with my own eyes. So why is he from Tiandu? After hearing In Mingho's words, they really didn't have any worries. And Mingho looked into the distance and saw the two of them sitting together sweetly. Viciousness flickered in his eyes. Young master, what do you think we should do? Someone asked. It's simple. Kill the man and take the money. As for the woman, don't hurt a single hair on her head. I won't allow anything to happen to her. Bring her back for me. I want to train her personally and turn her into a cheap plaything. And Mingho couldn't help but smile, as if he could already see the blissful life ahead of him. Are you sure you want to kill him? What's the point of keeping them alive if you don't kill them? Keep him alive for him to tell the trial union? Just kill him. I can guarantee that this woman will become mine in the future. I won't say a word. And Mingho sneered. But why do I feel that this man looks a little familiar? I feel like I've seen him somewhere before. Why are you wasting your breath? Just do it. The few of them looked at each other and nodded. After hearing In Mingho's words, they no longer panicked. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, one by one, figures rushed toward Lin Xian, and the others at an extremely fast speed. After all, the lowest realm among them was in the law realm. In an instant, Lin Xian and Linglong Shui were surrounded, and Mingho was also an extremely cautious person. No matter how confident he was, he didn't show himself. Oh, old man, it's you. We met at the casino. When Lin Xian saw the old man, his lips curled into a smile. The five of them furrowed their brows. They had come aggressively. Was this kid a fool? Was he still talking and laughing here? The more he was like this, the more panicked they became. Needless to say, Lin Xian had to thank them. Why? Because it gave him a reason to sit here alone with Linglong Shui and admire the beautiful scenery of the starry sky. This kind of opportunity was hard to come by. Linglong Shui was curious. Since they were sure that they had followed them here, why did they wait for them to make a move? Wouldn't it be better to take the initiative and chase them away? They wouldn't waste time. Lin Xian wanted to be alone with Linglong Shui in this kind of environment. To be honest, this kind of environment was really very quiet. It was very easy to stimulate a girl's hormones. Although Lin Xian didn't know if it was useful to Linglong Shui, he quite liked it. Therefore, he found an excuse to let Linglong Shui sit here with him to seduce her. Since you've recognized us, you should have guessed what we're here for. Uncle Fu snorted coldly. Of course. Because I've won too much money from your Meneo casino. You're here to kill me and take the money back, right? You know what you're doing. Why aren't you panicking? Uncle Fu suddenly felt that something was wrong. Why wasn't he panicking? Lin Xian said, I'm panicking. I'm panicking to death, because I know that I won't be able to escape even if I run. So, I might as well wait for you guys. Maybe you guys will spare my life if you see that I'm sensible. Give me the money. Uncle Fu stretched out his hand. Lin Xian said, I can give the money to your Meneo casino, but you have to promise not to kill me. Okay. Lin Xian then stood up and took out a card from his pocket. Just as he was about to take the card, Lin Xian directly slapped Uncle Fu's face. Old fart, you still want money? I'm just messing with you. Ha ha ha, this slap is really strong. You're courting death. Uncle Fu felt that something was amiss. He didn't expect that this kid would dare to slap him. A terrifying aura erupted from his body. Originally, I could have spared your life. But since you don't want to live, then don't blame this old man. Go die. Terrifying flames surged towards Lin Xian. However, the oncoming flames were all blocked by a force, and they were all shocked. Linglong Shui, who was sitting on the ground, also stood up. We could have won if we took the initiative. Why did we have to waste time here? Linglong Shui said indifferently. She was somewhat dissatisfied with Lin Xian. Chapter 626. Lin Xian shrugged and said, Isn't it to earn more money for you? Don't you want more money? Yes. After Linglong Shui finished speaking, her aura exploded slightly. Then, the five figures flew out at the same time and fell to the ground, spitting out blood. Lin Xian didn't want these people to die, because it would be very troublesome, very troublesome. Lin Xian didn't want them to die, because it would be very troublesome. Although they might even bring a lot of trouble if they were alive. And if they died, Lin Xian could still kill them and gain a lot of experience. Lin Xian really didn't think it was necessary. The 4 law boundary experts on the ground immediately fainted. As for the domain boundary expert Fu Ba, who was still conscious, he was flabbergasted. He guessed right. Out of these 2, one of them was really stronger than him. And it was an existence that could crush him. In the distance, and Mingho was originally thinking that victory was in his hands. Suddenly, he saw the scene in the distance and was completely stunned. What the hell? Why did all his people, all his experts fly out? Of course, he wasn't an idiot. When he saw this scene, although he felt that it was inconceivable, he also thought of something. What the F***ck? Young master, and stop hiding. Come out. A teasing voice suddenly came from that place. And Mingho's entire body trembled. Had they discovered him a long time ago? No, maybe they were just tricking him. However, just as Mingho was still thinking, he suddenly realized that his figure had disappeared. Then, he saw Lin Xian standing in front of him. He had mysteriously appeared in front of them. Yo, young masterin, you don't look so good. Lin Xian's lips curled up as he looked at Mingho with a smile. And Mingho's gaze swept over the people on the ground. He clearly saw the blood at the corner of Uncle Fu's mouth. Uncle Fu, who was at the peak of the domain realm, was injured. He revealed a shocked expression. Young Master Lin, what do you mean by this? And Mingho stared at Lin Xian with an ugly expression. What do I mean? It should be young masterin. What do you mean by this? I won the money, but you don't want me to leave alive, right? There's no such thing. And Mingho said stubbornly. Lin Xian took out his phone. I've recorded everything I said to you, the old man from the casino. Do you want me to play it for you? And Mingho's face instantly paled. I also know that this is some of the unspoken rules of the casinos, opened by big families like yours. It's not a strange thing. I can understand. Lin Xian slowly walked forward and stepped on Uncle Fu's body. In your eyes, I'm using violence to curb violence, so don't I have to do the same to you? But this person is old, and I don't have the nerve to make a move against him. Lin Xian released Uncle Fu and walked towards Mingho. With a backhand, he slapped Mingho to the ground. 2 of his teeth flew out, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Before he could react, Lin Xian stepped on his arm. Don't move, I might break your arm if I use too much force. Lin Xian's lips curled into a bloodthirsty smile. Although Uncle Fu was in the domain realm, he didn't dare act rashly because he knew that the beautiful woman beside him was someone who could kill them all with a wave of her hand. If he didn't make a move, he might live, but if he did, he would definitely die. What on earth do you want? And Mingho glared at Lin Xian. Crack. Lin Xian exerted force without hesitation. With a shattering sound, and Mingho screamed like a pig being slaughtered. His arm had been broken by Lin Xian. Young masterin, oh young masterin, I realize that you don't seem to understand your situation very well. You don't seem to have much respect for me. Even at a time like this, you're still looking at me with anger. Shouldn't you be looking at me with pleading and pity? Yes, that's the look in your eyes right now. Lin Xian's lips curled. At this moment in his eyes, this Lin Xian was like a demon. Lin Xian released his foot, and Mingho breathed a sigh of relief. Then, his pupils constricted again, because Lin Xian's foot stepped on his ankle again. He trembled all over and didn't dare to move. It was a completely involuntary reaction. What are you doing? What do you think I can do to a group of people who want to kill me? Lin Xian smiled. I didn't want to kill you. And Mingho tried to defend himself in fear. Is that so? Alright, I believe you. Tell me, if I spread this recording, your Mineo casino shouldn't be able to operate, right? The losses should be more than a few billion, right? No, your casino's annual turnover is a few billion. If it can't operate, the losses will be incalculable. What on earth do you want? Lin Xian smiled and said, It's very simple. Didn't you want to take the money from me? Then spit it out now. 10 billion shouldn't be difficult for you, right? 10 billion. Wishful thinking. Just as he finished speaking, his ankle was broken by Lin Xian again. Another scream was heard. Ling Longshui looked at it calmly. I'll give you 3 more seconds to consider. 10 billion. After 3 seconds, tell me if you've made up your mind. If you don't, then you can disappear from the face of the earth. Lin Xian smiled devilishly. 10 billion. That's too much. And Mingho's face was covered in sweat. The pain caused his sweat to soak through his clothes in an instant. Crack. Just as he finished speaking, Lin Xian broke his other ankle without hesitation. He was crippled, but with the current technology and treatment methods, as long as he was treated in time, he could recover. Of course, he couldn't return to normal, but no one would be able to tell that he was crippled. However, if it dragged on for too long, he would be completely crippled. He knew that. I'll give. And Mingho couldn't take it anymore. Tears flowed down his cheeks as he gasped and said in horror. Uncle Fu didn't dare to make a sound. He was afraid of the consequences if he made a sound. 10 billion was a lot, but for an existence like in Mingho, it was still considered acceptable. After all, the casino's annual profit was a few billion. Without adding in other things, 10 billion wasn't too much of a problem. With trembling hands, he used Lin Xian's hand, which was not crippled, to transfer 10 billion to Lin Xian. Lin Xian saw that the money had been transferred and released his foot in satisfaction. If you had done this earlier, you wouldn't have had to suffer so much. Lin Xian smiled, then said, hurry up and get treatment. Maybe there's still hope. Then, he and Linglong Shui left. I want you dead. I want you dead. And Mingho's eyes were bloodshot and vicious. He couldn't win, but that didn't mean that he didn't know heavenly venerables. Chapter 627. At this moment, Lin Xian was humming happily. It's so easy to earn money. Lin Xian smiled at Linglong Shui and transferred half of the money to her. They had a few billion now. They wouldn't spend it all so quickly, right? Probably not. It's okay, Linglong Shui said calmly. Actually, there are many ways to earn money. But do you know what's the most profitable way? Lin Xian asked with a smile. What? It's written in Sky Blue Planet's laws. I've told you how to get rich. If you need money in the future, you can look it up. Linglong Shui. I'm hungry. She didn't continue the topic and said softly. I'm not letting you eat. Linglong Shui. Let's watch a movie first. You can eat more after the movie. Why can I eat more after the movie? In the past, Linglong Shui and Lin Xian didn't have a good relationship. She couldn't be bothered with Lin Xian. But now, she could reply to Lin Xian with one sentence and ask all sorts of questions. This was a qualitative breakthrough. Because you'll be hungrier after the movie. Linglong Shui. Ha ha ha. Lin Xian saw Linglong Shui roll her eyes at him and couldn't help but laugh. Let's go. I'll buy you something to eat on the way. We'll have a big meal after the movie. It's my treat. Then won't it be too late? Linglong Shui frowned and looked at the watch on her wrist. It was already 10 at night. Wouldn't it be midnight after the movie? Big sister, are you going to school? Linglong Shui shook her head. Are you going to work? She still shook her head. Then what are you worried about? Linglong Shui. That made sense. Let's go. Lin Xian held Linglong Shui's hand and walked forward. Linglong Shui. She wanted to shake off Lin Xian's hand, but Lin Xian held it tightly. It was as if he was dragging her along. Ah. Linglong Shui was furious when she saw this scene. Bing Lingyue held back her laughter. This girl said that she didn't care. It was so obvious. It seemed like she was unhappy, because Linglong Shui was being held by Lin Xian. However, in Bing Lingyue's opinion, this was only half the reason. The other half was because of Lin Xian. Lin Xian did it on purpose. Firstly, he could be intimate with Linglong Shui and take advantage of her. Lin Xian holding her hand and hugging her waist would no longer make her feel disgusted. It might even have a very good effect, such as making her shy. However, he couldn't be too direct when he held her hand and hugged her waist. He had to make it seem like he was holding her hand inadvertently. He had to make it feel like he was holding her hand inadvertently. Lin Xian now realized that his way of dealing with all kinds of girls and all kinds of relationships was really amazing. Here, Linglong Shui was held by him all the way. Lin Xian didn't stop. She didn't even shake off Lin Xian's hand. This was the effect. As for the favorability 48, that's right. This was Ling Longshue's favorability towards Lin Xian. This already made Lin Xian very satisfied. The favorability between the two sisters was almost at the same level. Of course, Lin Xian didn't expect to win over Ling Longshue tonight. He gave himself at least a month's time. Lin Xian had 1.5 months' time. However, Bing Lingyue seemed to only have a month's time left. However, he didn't make any moves on Bing Lingyue. This was something that Lin Xian couldn't say for sure. After all, she was Her Majesty the Queen. Easy to woo? Of course it wasn't easy. However, Lin Xian inexplicably felt that it would be easier for her to woo than Ling Longshue. On the way they bought some snacks. As they ate, they entered the cinema. Needless to say, a girl like Ling Longshue would attract a lot of attention no matter the occasion. Just now, because a guy was looking at Ling Longshue and was seen by his girlfriend fell out with him on the spot. This kind of thing didn't seem to be the first time. This wasn't the first time Ling Longshue came to the cinema. Hence, she wasn't too curious. She was just a little curious about what movie Lin Xian wanted to take her to. The movie was called Youth Passerby. It was a youth drama. In short, it was touching and talked about feelings. It could also stimulate a girl's hormones. If a girl cried after watching it, then sorry you did it. As for whether Ling Longshue would cry after watching it, Lin Xian felt that it was quite possible. Although this girl was very cold, there was a period of time when she was super obsessed with TV dramas. Lin Xian also noticed that she would immerse herself in the plot of a TV drama, because it was novel and interesting. Hence, it was effective. Is it good? Ling Longshue really felt like a little girlfriend now. She would move closer to Lin Xian to take a look, and then ask him a question. It's very good. Usually, this kind of movie won't be bad. Okay. Ling Longshue nodded. Her beautiful eyes scanned the surroundings, and saw Ling Longyu hiding behind the crowd. However, she didn't expose her. You heir is here too, Ling Longshue said to Lin Xian. I saw them. They were following us the whole time. Why do you think they were following us? Ling Longshue shook her head. Stupid. She was worried that I would take advantage of you. Ling Longshue said calmly, that's impossible. However, she didn't realize that tonight, Lin Xian had already hugged her waist and held her hand several times. Then, would you be angry if I took advantage of you? Lin Xian asked with a smile. Yes. Why would I? We're dating now. It's normal for us to be dating. But I'm not your girlfriend. So you can't. Ling Longshue said seriously. That's why I'm trying my best to make you my girlfriend. Impossible. Lin Xian. Hey, you're wrong. You said that you would give me a chance to pursue you. Now, you're saying that it's impossible. Are you trying to cheat? I've helped you so much. Lin Xian had a pained look on his face. Then, I'll take it back. She was really embarrassed to reject Lin Xian so forcefully. She was conflicted. Why couldn't she be with Lin Xian? But why did she subconsciously reject him? What was the reason? Identity? Strength? That didn't seem right. She wasn't sure either. That's right. Let's go in. After the two of them walked in, Ling Longshue appeared and ran to the front desk. Sister, what movie did that beautiful sister buy? Youth Passerby. I want that too. I want too. Sister, can you remember which 2 seats they bought? Because Ling Longshue was too beautiful. She paid special attention to her and naturally remembered. Then the 2 girls bought the seats behind them. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.